There was a terrifying whipping sound in her ears, followed by a sharp pain in my shoulders, stomach, and hands and feet. Nalan Yurong couldn't even react, then she was pierced by purple vines. Fear and despair overwhelmed her. Looking at Heshi, she felt for the first time the horror and cruelty of her sister she had looked down on before. Am I going to die here? Nalan Yurong felt that the purple vines that had pierced her body began to suck her flesh and blood, and this acknowledgement almost made her lose her mind. Do not. I don't want to die here. Let alone dying in the bitch, Nalan Heshi's hands. I still want to become famous in the Miluo continent. I also want to marry His Royal Highness King of Hell. I also want to become a pillar of the Doctors' Association. Ah! Nalan Yurong let out a scream, then she suddenly crushed an inscribed jade slip in her hand. Immediately afterward, a violent light burst out of the inscribed jade slip, covering her body. As she frowned, she felt a magical and powerful array force in the inscribed jade slip. It was similar to the teleportation array. Now, Nalan Yurong was being taken to an unknown place by this force. Nalan Yurong stared at Nalan Heshi viciously, gritted his teeth, and said word by word, "You actually hurt me to such extent, Nalan Heshi, what you did to me today, one day I will let you pay the price for thousands of times. Bitch, just you wait." If she could, she didn't want to use this inscribed random teleportation jade slip at all. Although this inscribed jade slip could help her escape the danger of death, she didn't know where it would take her. It may be the abyss, it may be the 1,000-year-old ice field, it may be the magical beast forest. If she was randomly teleported to such a place, her survival rate wouldn't even have 30%. All this is because of the bitch, Nalan Heshi. Seeing Nalan Yurong who had completely disappeared on the spot, Heshi frowned. She didn't expect Nalan Yurong to be able to run away. Inscribed teleportation jade slip. Last time in Breaking Spirit Mountain, that Mr. Mu seemed to have used it too. I didn't expect there are so many applications of array in the Miluo continent. It seems that I have to find an opportunity to study it. Qing Wan leaned close to Heshi and frowned. Miss, is it okay to let Nalan Yurong run away? She already knows that Miss has cultivation, and she also knows that you are not the biological daughter of the Nalan family. If she spreads out the news, and she is even Master Shukong's discipline, if she reports to her master, it doesn't matter. Heshi said lightly. I have never intentionally concealed my true identity. I just don't want too much troubles. As for the Doctors' Association, even if there is no Nalan Yurong, as long as Shin Dahal is still working with Shin family to break their monopoly, one day they will still come to me. There is nothing to worry about. Qing Wan nodded, and her expression also relaxed. She remembered Nalan Jingza who had just left in a hurry, and she couldn't help but curiously ask, Miss, what happened to Nalan Jingza's medicine? Isn't Juku Lingshan pill Nalan Jingza's unique secret? Why is there a problem now? Heshi glanced at her and said with a half-smile, unique secret? Ha, it has become life-threatening curse now. You and I just need to wait here to watch the show. Qing Wan's eyes lit up, looking forward to the next scandal of the Nalan family. By this time, Nalan Jingza had hurried to the front hall of the Nalan family. Before he entered the door, he saw a man wearing brocade rushing up and grabbing his collar. He angrily said, Nalan Jingza, I, the prince, ordered Juku Lingshan pill with you for the first time to use this medicinal pills to save my beloved wife. You actually use such a thing to fool me. Now that my beloved wife was dead, you will pay the price with your life. Nalan Jingza was grabbed by the collar as soon as he came in. He stumbled for being grabbed, and he felt very dizzy. All his ears were filled with angry roars from the people. There were also chattering sounds of other people behind him. Everyone was spitting on his face, he couldn't react to it for a while. When he finally recovered, he pushed away the person who was grabbing him, and he finally saw the person's looks. The person was the sixth prince of the Jinling kingdom, Shangguanheng, and the nephew of Zhu family Zhu Yichun. At this time, Shangguanheng was full of anger, and the grace and composure he had when he helped Zhu Yichun to propose marriage together had disappeared. Shang Guanhing's words even made Nalan Jingza's heart stunned. Is there really something wrong with Juku Lingshan pill? This is impossible. It must be because the illness of the sixth prince's wife was not caused by poisoning. Thinking of this, Nalan Jingza cleared his throat and said sternly, "Sixth prince, please don't simply put the blame on me. The Juku Lingshan pill of my Nalan family has never had a problem. How many people have been saved by these medicinal pills? Sixth prince, your wife could not be saved. Maybe it was because your concubine was not poisoned, but it was another strange disease." When the sixth prince heard this, he was furious and interrupted sharply, "You dare to say that I'm blaming you?" It's just that before the sixth prince finished speaking, an old man with a white beard came forward and smashed a red medicinal pill at Nalan Jingza's face. It was possible that the sixth prince's wife wasn't poisoned, but it wasn't my first time buying this medicine from miracle healer Nalan. Therefore, it is impossible to not know the authenticity of Juku Lingshan pill, right? Nalan Jingza, we give you face by calling you a miracle healer. Do you really think an old man like me is easy to bullied with? You actually used the fake medicinal pill to fool us. The red medicinal pill, that was thrown at Nalan Jingza, was picked up by him. When he looked up and saw the face of the person who was questioning, his heart beat. He spoke in a tremble, "Elder Han, why did you say this? My Juku Lingshan pill never has any problem with it." The white-bearded elder was one of the elders of the Shui Yu sect. Although he was not yet at the nascent soul stage, he was already the pinnacle of the gold core stage. He had some status in the Shui Yu sect, and he was definitely not someone Nalan Jingza could afford to offend. Hearing Nalan Jingza's words, Elder Han sneered, "You really think I'm an old fool? I still can't distinguish whether the medicinal pills are useful or not. Today, we will forget it if you give us the real Juku Lingshan pill as compensation. Otherwise, I will destroy your Nalan mansion." Elder Han's words caused other people who were deceived to curse loudly. You Nalan Jingza are so great. You actually dared to use fake pills to fool us. Are we really so easy to fool? Are you getting so old and useless that you can't even refine Juku Lingshan pill? If that's the case, repay us double the price we paid. Yes, either double repayment or give us the Juku Lingshan pill, otherwise we will smash Nalan mansion. Nalan Jingza only felt a buzzing in his ears, his heart was full of panic and anxiety. But he still didn't believe that his Juku Lingshan pill would go wrong. Therefore, he picked up the red medicinal pill and stuffed it into his mouth. However, after the medicinal pills entered the body, the original clear and mellow vitality did not appear as usual. Has Juku Lingshan pill really lost its effectiveness? But why? I obviously used the same refining method. Nalan Jingza murmured, "Impossible, it's impossible for it to be ineffective. How could it be possible? Is this a fake Juku Lingshan pill?" Yes, it must be fake. This is not my Juku Lingshan pill. Before Nalan Jingza had finished speaking, Elder Han waved his hand and slapped his face ruthlessly. Nalan Jingza was caught off guard. He rolled on the ground hard, knocking his head on the pillar. Blood was streaming out, making him look very embarrassed. Elder Han looked at him viciously, "Nalan Jingza, you actually accused me of fooling you with a fake Juku Lingshan pill. Are you tired of living?" Among the people who came to complain, one of them mingled with the gangsters. When he saw that Nalan Jingza was being slapped by Elder Han like nobody and he noticed that Nalan Jingza couldn't take out any real Juku Lingshan pill, he suddenly shouted. Nalan Jingza even dared to slander Elder Han. It seems that he is not ready to compensate us for our losses. We might as well smash the Nalan family to express our anger. That's right, who knows if Nalan Jingza can produce the real Juku Lingshan pill tomorrow. If he can't take it out for 1 day, we'll smash for 1 day. If he can't take it out for 2 days, we will smash for 2 days until he compensates us for the loss. This person's proposal immediately got everyone's response. Martial artists generally had storage devices. Of course, they knew that Nalan Jingza wouldn't put too many valuable treasures in the mansion. But since they were fooled by Nalan Jingza with fake medicinal pills, it would be good to vent their anger by smashing his house. Nalan Jingza was having a chest pain being slapped by Elder Han. Seeing this group of people swarming into his home and smashing everything, he suddenly felt blood surged from his chest and spewed another mouthful of blood. Stop it. You guys stop it. The group didn't go to the backyard. They just smashed the front yard of the Nalan mansion and returned to the main hall with satisfaction. Elder Han looked at Nalan Jingza condescendingly and said coldly, Nalan Jingza, I will give you 3 more days. If you can hand over the real Juku Lingshan pill, then I'll forget it. Otherwise, don't blame me Shui Yu sect for being rude. After speaking, he walked away angrily with Shui Yu sect's disciples. The 6th prince also walked up to Nalan Jingza and looked at him contemptuously. It turns out that the name of the number 1 miracle healer in the Jinling kingdom is fake. If you can't hand over Juku Lingshan pill this time, I will report to my father. Your miracle healer title will be removed from now on. After 6th prince left, other sects and families ran over to sneer at Nalan Jingza. The gangster martial artist even spat at Nalan Jingza before he swayed away. Nalan Jingza stumbled into the messy living room, his body was shaking. Nalan Jingza had enjoyed glory for a lifetime. He had never suffered such humiliation. Juku Lingshan pill. Why does Juku Lingshan pill fail? Nalan Jingza stood up abruptly from the ground. Ignoring the pain in his chest, he hurriedly walked toward his study room. After entering the underground cave, he saw the figure still curled up on the ground wearing a helmet. Nalan Jingza thought of the humiliation he had just received, and anger rose from his heart. Why? Why does Juku Lingshan pill fail? Son of bitch, are you trying to mess with me? Nalan Jingza whipped the medicine man in the cave. As the barbed whip hit on the medicine man, he screamed in pain. But Nalan Jingza still didn't feel relieved. He stepped forward and severely stepped and broke the medicine man calf bone. Amid the crisp breaking sound, the medicine man let out a miserable howl. The sound even made the entire iron helmet hum. Nalan Jingza finally felt a little satisfied. He threw away his whip and sneered, "You'd better pray that your blood is still useful, otherwise, I will let you taste absolute desperation." After speaking, he took the knife and cut open the arm of the medicine man. But Nalan Jingza deliberately used spiritual power to explore this time. He found that there was indeed no strong vitality in the blood. Moreover, the scars on the arms of this medicine man should be healed in at most 1 night, but now after using external injury medicine, it didn't heal even after a few days. Could it be that the blood of medicine man really lose its effectiveness? No, this is absolutely impossible. Nalan Jingza took the bowl of blood unwillingly and went to the backyard. He casually grabbed a servant, fed him a deadly poison, and poured the blood of the medicine man into his mouth. However, after a few seconds, the servant rolled his eyes and vomited bubbles. He was utterly dead. At this moment, Nalan Jingza was really scared. Juku Lingshan pill is the foundation of my life. If I lose Juku Lingshan pill, how can I, Nalan Jingza, ever be famous again? How can I gain a foothold in the Doctors' Association? How can I become the first miracle healer in the Jinling kingdom? Why? Why does the blood that can cure all poisons fail? Is it because that animal's special physique was squeezed too much by himself, and now it is finally worn away, it will no longer be useful? What should I do in the future? How can I refine Juku Lingshan? How can I support the Nalan family? Thinking of the cruel words of Elder Han and the others and the today and the blame he was going to face tomorrow, Nalan Jingza looked terrified. He couldn't help tremble for a moment. Suddenly, the image of Enlingyue and Nalan Heshi appeared before his eyes. Enlingyue's relic. Nalan Jingza woke up suddenly. Yes, now only Enlingyue's relic can save the Nalan family. I must get it. He now had no way out. The only way was to force Nalan Heshi to hand over the prescription for the best quality pill. That's right, as long as I have the best quality pill formula like the bone muscle enhancement pill, let alone Elder Han, even the Doctors' Association will treat me as an honorable guest. Until then, do I still need Juku Lingshan pill? Thinking of this, Nalan Jingzi immediately clapped. Soon several guards dressed in black appeared in front of him. These people were the dead soldiers raised by the Nalan family. Although some of them were dead in order to spy Nalan Heshi some time ago, many of them still followed Nalan Jingzi. Nalan Jingzi said with a sullen face, "Tie up that bitch and bring her to my study room. Everything must be brought here, including her maids and her belongings." The guard quickly lowered his head. "Yes, master." Looking at the direction of the guard disappearing, Nalan Jingzi's mouth showed a sinister smile. After about 15 minutes, Nalan Jingzi, who was sitting in the study room, turned around when he heard the sound. The door of the study room was pushed open, and Nalan Heshi and her maid named Qing Wan appeared at the door of the study room. But to Nalan Jingzi's surprise, Nalan Heshi was not tied up. She walked into his study room with a smile instead. Nalan Jingzi's face changed uncertainly, and he said solemnly, "Where are the people I sent to bring you here?" Heshi smiled without answering him. It was Qing Wan who replied coldly, "Is Nalan Jingzi talking about the stinky man who wanted to control us as he entered Xinu house?" "Sorry, I see that he had ill intention, so I have beheaded him." "You, how dare you?" Nalan Jingzi's face was extremely ugly. He was looking at Qing Wan with fear. Heshi didn't even look at Nalan Jingzi at all. She calmly found a place to sit down, then she said, "Master Nalan, what do you want to call me here?" "I'll leave if there is nothing." Nalan Jingzi looked at him sullenly. His eyes were like a poisoned sword. "Are you still reluctant to hand over the things?" Heshi smiled slightly. "I'm sorry, I don't understand what Master Nalan wants me to handle." Nalan Jingzi sneered, "Nalan Heshi, you can still be stubborn, but when you see him, you will know that you have no capital to play tricks with me." "Oh." Heshi raised his eyebrows. "Then I'm really curious, what does Master Nalan want me to see?" Nalan Jingzi squinted, got up and walked to the array. He casually did something at the array, and the door of the secret room was opened. The figure who was tied behind the secret room's door fell down. Nalan Jingzi pulled him out mercilessly, stepped on his chest, and looked at Heshi with a sneer. "Do you know who this person is?" The person he stepped on was covered with dirt. This man was wearing an iron helmet on his head, his hands were covered with scars, a huge scar on his hands was still bleeding. The leg bones of his two lower legs were fractured. When he crawled, the injury made him so painful that he kept groaning in pain. Heshi's expression was calm. She did not answer his words, but she slowly asked, "Compared with who this person is, I'm more curious about who is my biological father." "Father, how do you all have father? You all are illegitimate child." Once someone asked this question, Nalan Jingzi could no longer maintain his original calmness. He almost roared hysterically. And Lingyue, that flirtatious woman, was pregnant when she came to Nalan Mansion. She even used the pill formula to threaten me to protect her. She let me hide her in the Nalan family as my concubine. Humph. Since she has become my concubine, she is naturally my woman. Why didn't she let me touch her? She even cautiously alienated from me. Every day, she pretended to be aloof and inviolable in front of me. Pooey. Bitch. Who knows how many men she had slept with. Nalan Jingzi became more and more excited as she spoke. "Ha ha ha, if that bitch knew that her 2 children were miserably tortured by me, she must regret not submitting to me and become my woman." "Isn't Lingyue really dead?" Heshi's voice was clear and fair-sounding, but it inexplicably had a charming power. "How did she die?" "Of course she is dead." Nalan Jingzi yelled, "That damn bitch, she didn't even leave her corpse after she died. I don't know where the pill formulas were hidden. I searched through every place of Xinu house, I even severely wounded Mammy Chen and searched her soul, but failed to find the location of those pill formulas. And Lingyue, since you are ruthless and unrighteous, don't blame me for abusing your son and daughter, making them worse than an animal." Ha 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 ha. As Nalan Jingzi said, he looked at Heshi, and he suddenly increased the strength of his feet. The bone-fracturing sound could be heard, then it was followed by a more miserable howl. It was obvious that his rib was broken by Naelanjingza. Naelanjingza chuckled and said, "Naelan Hashi, don't you want to know who he is?" Hashi looked at him calmly. There was no sadness or joy in her eyes, but there was a touch of mockery. This kind of ridicule made Naelanjingza irritated, and he sternly said, "Didn't you know that Naelan Ziyan pretended to be your brother? Then do you know, where is your real brother?" "Ha ha ha, I can tell you today, this hideous person at my feet who lives a miserable life is your younger brother, the real Naelan Ziyan." Naelanjingza pursed his lips as if recalling something. His eyes were gleaming. "You must be curious why he became like this. Do you remember that when you were young, you had a high fever because of Feishua's teasing? Naelan Ziyan saw you were thirsty and wanted to find water to feed you, but the servants didn't listen to him. He couldn't find water, so he had to cut off his wrist and feed you with his blood. Who knows, his blood detoxified the poison in your body and restore you to the original state." Naelanjingza's words finally changed Hashi's expression slightly. She searched through the memory of the original owner and finally found that impression in the distant fuzzy corner. The little immature child kept calling her sister in her ear, and she was confused and could not say anything. She just felt her chest was burning and her throat was thirsty, so she could not stop muttering, "Water." Then, she felt a refreshing sweet liquid flowing into her dry lips, slowly nourishing her injured internal organs and letting the tormenting pain slowly disappear. "That was my brother's blood." It turned out that Xiaoqi in this life was the same as her brother in the previous life, desperately protecting her sister, even if he had to sacrifice everything. Naelanjingza saw that her face was moved, and he was very satisfied. He continued, "He saved you back then, but because he saved you, I discovered that his blood has such a magical effect. I use his blood as the main material to refine the Juku Lingshan pill, which also made my Naelan family standing in the position of the 4 great families in the Jin Ling kingdom. Naelan Hashi, you can say that your brother was imprisoned by me for 12 years because of you. Don't you want to save him?" Hashi nodded and said, "Want." This simple one-word answer made Naelanjingza overjoyed. This bitch, Naelan Hashi, had persisted for so many days. Now seeing his brother, she finally decided to compromise. "Since you want to save your brother, then immediately exchange him with your mother's relics. As long as you give me all the pill formulas and treasures left by Lingyue, I will let him go. How about that?" Seeing Hashi took a step forward, her maid also followed up. Naelanjingza hurriedly said, "Don't try to take your brother from my hand forcibly. I have fed him the poison. If it isn't cured in half an hour, he will die horribly. I know you are capable of curing poison. However, do you really want to bet it with your younger brother's life and his saving grace to you?" Hashi stopped and said with a sneer, "You said he is my younger brother, then he is my younger brother. How do I know if you fake another Naelan Ziyan to lie to me?" "Humph, you are really stubborn." Naelanjingza sneered, "You don't believe that he is your brother? Well, I will show you his true face now. You are twins, although you two don't look exactly the same, his appearance is at least similar to you. When you see it, you know I'm not lying to you." As he said, he quickly took out the key and opened the iron helmet. The helmet fell to the ground with a bang, and under the helmet was a face with disheveled hair. Naelanjingza didn't even look at that face. Instead, he grabbed his hair and forced him to raise his head toward Hashi. He laughed and said, "Naelan Hashi, see clearly, is this your brother? You two are Lingyue's illegitimate children. You two look very similar to her. You can recognize this at a glance." That face clearly appeared in front of Hashi and Qing Yuan. Although the face was dirty, the facial features could still be clearly recognized. Qing Yuan saw that person's face clearly, and she couldn't help but chuckle and laughed. "You said this is the younger brother of our miss? You said this person looks similar to our miss? Naelanjingza, are you getting crazy?" Naelanjingza was startled, but he didn't realize what Qing Yuan meant. Hashi smiled coldly. She launched the invisible needle at the acupuncture point of the medicine man. Suddenly, The medicine man cried out in horror with a hoarse voice, "Father, father, it's me. I'm Ziyun. Father, save me." "What?" Naelanjunza suddenly loosened his hand when he heard the voice, and the person he was holding fell to the ground with a bang. After the impact, the ribs that had been fractured immediately pierced into his internal organs, causing a stern cry. Naelanjunza lowered his head in a tremble, and he saw the face of his beloved son Naelan Ziyun. His face at this time could no longer be described as pale, but it was filled with the gloominess of death. Because the lobes of the lungs were punctured by the ribs, he kept spraying bleeding foam in his mouth, and his breathing became weaker and weaker. His life was about to die. "Ziyun. Ziyun. How could it be you?" Naelanjunza trembled all over, trying to help her son, but the hand that was stretched out seemed stiff and frozen. He seemed to have lost his strength. Finally, he took out a healing medicinal pill and wanted to feed it into Naelan Ziyun's mouth. "Ziyun, you won't die. Father won't let you die, you are Father's most beloved son." Naelan Ziyun's eyes were full of fear and anticipation. He opened his mouth and fed him the medicinal pill. "Father is right, I will not die. I still have a great and bright future. I still want to revenge on that vicious woman Naelan Heshi. I still have so many things to do." As the medicinal pill was swallowed into his abdomen, the cold that was about to take away his vitality faded away. Naelan Ziyun's face showed a smile of surviving a disaster. Naelanjunza also breathed a sigh of relief. He was about to ask people to come in and carry the young master down to recuperate. Suddenly, Naelan Ziyun's face twisted. Immediately afterward, a purple-green gas filled his cheeks, causing him to twitch and twist. "Ziyun. Ziyun." There was a clear look of panic and fear on Naelanjunza's face. He recognized it. This is the symptom of the poison I fed Naelan Ziyun. But, isn't there obviously still half an hour before it triggers? There is no cure for this deadly poison, except Juku Lingshan pill. He initially had no intention of letting Naelan Heshi's younger brother live. He initially wanted to kill Yue's illegitimate children getting her relics. But now, this poison was going to kill his most beloved son. "No. I don't want to die. Father, save me, save me, save." Naelan Ziyun's hand tightly pinched into Naelanjunza's wrist, desperately trying to ask for help and want to talk. However, a mouthful of blood surged out, and he rolled his eyes. In the end, his heart stopped beating and he became a dead body. Naelanjunza looked at Naelan Ziyun staring blankly with the unwillingness to die, only to feel a buzz in his head. He stood up suddenly and rushed toward Heshi frantically. "Bitch, it's you. You killed my son. I want you to pay with your life." The spiritual power of Naelanjunza skyrocketed, but his movements were disordered. He didn't even cast the flying sword. Qing Wan snorted contemptuously. She stepped forward to fight with Naelanjunza. Although Naelanjunza was a martial artist of the gold core stage, he had been immersed in pill refining and the urge to seek glory and prosperity for many years. How could he have time to improve his cultivation? Qing Wan was also of the gold core stage, but she was carefully and secretly cultivated in the King of Hell mansion. The difference in power could be seen at a glance. After just a few minutes, Naelanjunza was knocked to the ground by Qing Wan. He was vomiting blood with a pale face. He stared at Heshi fiercely and yelled hysterically, "Bitch, do you think you can escape from the Naelan mansion? Even if I will lose Yue's relics, I must let you bitch die horribly. I will use your flesh and blood to pay for my son Ziyun's life." As soon as Naelanjunza spoke, he suddenly crushed the SOS inscribed jade slip. Qing Wan glanced at Heshi with a solemn expression, and she was also holding a jade slip. "Miss, do you want me to summon master now?" "Ahem, why do you say like your master is someone who can simply summon here and there?" Heshi coughed and shook her head. "No need. I can feel that the range of this inscribed jade slip is not far away. He probably just summoned the elders and guards of the Naelan mansion. This is just right, it saves me the trouble to eliminate the root of the problem." Now I can solve it once and for all. Qing Wan was extremely convinced by Heshi now. She no longer doubts Heshi's words. As expected, just as Heshi said, after a while, the people of the Nalan mansion appeared and surrounded the study room. Among them was a master of the gold core stage, Nalan Xingming. Most of the others were martial artists of the meridian stage. Their strength should not be underestimated. As soon as Nalan Zhengzi saw Nalan Xingming, he immediately shouted, "Third Elder, Nalan Heshi is so rebellious that she wanted to kill her father. Her brother, Nalan Ziyun, also died in this cruel woman's hand. Third Elder, you must not let him go." When Nalan Xingming received the call, he was taken aback by the sight in front of him. He originally wanted to break through to the advanced level of the gold core stage behind closed doors, but he unexpectedly received Nalan Zhengzi's call for help. He thought it was a powerful enemy invading Nalan family. Who knows? What he saw was Nalan Heshi, the little girl, beat Nalan Zhengzi until he vomited blood. He frowned and said, "Nalan Heshi, you are so rebellious. You actually hurt your father. You still don't kneel down and admit your mistakes." Heshi smiled lightly. Her eyes were full of contempt, but she said nothing. Nalan Zhengzi hurriedly shouted, "Third Elder, this Nalan Heshi colluded with the outsider Shiyu. The maid next to her was sent by Shiyu. She has great ability. Even I'm not her opponent. This animal gave all of Lingyue's relics to Shiyu in exchange for Shiyu's help. The best quality pills and pill formulas sold in Xingda Hall should have belonged to our Nalan family." "What? Is what you said true?" Now, let alone Nalan Xingming, the rest of the Nalan family were all shocked. After the shock, they felt incredible ecstasy. Xingda Hall was now popular in the Jinling kingdom today. Even the Shen family of Qingxia sect treated the little shopkeeper in Xingda Hall respectfully. Why? Wasn't it because of the powerful and mysterious best quality pill that Xingda Hall could provide? If those best quality pills belonged to us, wouldn't our Nalan family? The thought of this made Nalan Xingming and the others excited. Several martial artists at the peak of the meridian stage surrounded Heshi and Qing Wan in the center. Nalan Xing stared at Heshi with a hot gaze. He said in a deep voice, "Little girl, I know that your father was not good enough for you before and made you wronged, but you are the people of the Nalan family." Before Nalan Xingming had finished speaking, Heshi had already made a long sigh. She said slowly as if she was bored, "Enough with your nonsense already. I was willing to chatter with you because I was having a good mood, but now I'm already impatient. So, you guys, should all die. You." Nalan Xingming was interrupted, and he was furious when he heard such a rude declaration from Heshi. Nalan Zhengzi had already eaten medicinal pills and stood up. He said bitterly, "Third Elder, this slut is relying on the maid next to her. This maid is indeed strong in cultivation, she definitely has the level of the gold core stage." Isn't it just a gold core stage? Could it be that I, Nalan Xingming, would be afraid of her? Nalan Xingming coldly snorted, "I'm going to hold her maid, you guys go and control Nalan Heshi. Before we get in Lingyue's relics, you can't let her die." Qing Wan glanced at the group of people surrounding the two with a stern look. Her eyes were full of contempt, just a bunch of useless people. Only the old man at the intermediate level of the gold core stage is still worth fighting. "Miss, let me deal with the old man first." "No need." Heshi took out Li Shui's sword faintly. There was a clear and beautiful voice like a wind sings, "I don't want to waste time with them. I'll deal with all of them at once." As soon as she spoke, the purple vines suddenly rose from her body. The vines were like tornadoes. Wherever they went, they smashed the walls and roof of the entire study room. The flying stones and rubble fell one after another on scattered Nalan Zhengzi and others, but none of them fell on Heshi. Nalan Zhengzi and Nalan Xingming were in a panic, but they couldn't even wipe the dust off their faces. They just stared at Nalan Heshi with horror. The girl's figure was weak and didn't look pretty in appearance, but the crazy surging spiritual power was so powerful that Nalan Xingming trembled in fear. Nalan Jingza's feeling at this time was more frightened and crazier than when he saw Nalan Ziyun's face under the iron helmet. No, no. This is impossible. That was Nalan Heshi. Although he tortured her, he secretly instigated the servants to abuse her, watching her live like a pig. He had never relaxed his surveillance on her. Nalan Heshi is so weak, so incompetent, so useless. How could she be the one in front who can exude a strong spirit pressure and make me feel desperate? You, who are you? You're not Nalan Heshi, who are you? Nalan Jingza let out a hoarse scream as if to convince the others and himself. Heshi smiled softly, and the purple vines instantly got back into her body as if they were conscious. She looked at Nalan Jingza coldly and sneered cruelly at the father whom Nalan Heshi admired and looked forward to. Of course I'm Nalan Heshi, my dear father, you have been monitoring me for 17 years, don't you even know me now? After a pause, her voice suddenly became cold. The voice was clearly pleasant to ears, but it was strangely cold like it was from hell. I'm Nalan Heshi, but I'm not the original Nalan Heshi. The original Nalan Heshi has been forced to death by you animals. Now standing in front of you is Nalan Heshi who has crawled back from hell. Are you ready to repay your debt? Li Shui's sword rose to the sky after she spoke. Just before Nalan Jingza and Nalan Xingming could react, swords rained down from the sky. Flying flower sword rain, thousands of arrows pierced the heart. Even in breaking Spirit Mountain, Heshi's move could easily kill a rank 5 magical beast. What's more, after experiencing the battle of breaking Spirit Mountain and cultivated behind closed doors, her current strength was no longer comparable to her previous strength. The rain of swords all over the sky was like death taking away their souls. Before these martial artists could react, the swords had penetrated their bodies directly. Some people even looked at Heshi with a contemptuous expression on their faces. Thinking that she was just a little girl, so what if she was powerful? However, before their expressions changed, they felt a sharp pain. Then they completely lost their consciousness. In just a few seconds, the study room was razed to the ground. The martial artists who originally stood here around Heshi had countless holes on their bodies. Except for Nalan Jingza and Nalan Xingming, a dozen martial artists of the Meridian stage died. Nalan Jingza was trembling all over. At this moment, he was looking at Heshi like he saw a horrifying ghost. Could it be that Nalan Heshi really climbed back from hell to take revenge? Am I really going to die in the hands of Nalan Heshi today? No. No. I don't want to die. Thinking of death, Nalan Jingza trembled. All his hatred on Nalan Heshi turned into fear and a desire for survival. His knees softened, and he kneeled to the ground, kowtowing toward Heshi. Heshi, I was wrong. Father was wrong for not taking good care of you. However, for the sake of saving your mother and letting you live for 17 years, please forgive me, spare my life. Heshi sneered slightly and turned her gaze at Nalan Xingming. How would Nalan Xingming be afraid of this little girl? However, after the previous massacre plus the pair of gorgeous phoenix eyes, he felt a chill down his spine. He staggered back for one step. But this place was originally a study room after all. There were rubble and stones everywhere. With this stagger, Nalan Xingming tripped over a boulder and fell on the ground. Seeing Heshi took a step toward him, he immediately screamed, "Don't kill me! Don't kill me! All this is done by Nalan Jingza. It has nothing to do with me. I don't even know, and Lingyue left some relics behind. Please let me go." Heshi pursed her lips and was about to speak. Little golden dragon suddenly jumped out and hovered high in the sky. He smiled at the two people who were begging embarrassedly, "You all want my boss to let you go? It's not impossible." Nalan Jingza and Nalan Xingming heard what little golden dragon said, looked at Heshi, and saw that she did not refute. Their faces suddenly showed joy. Little golden dragon sneered, "You can live, but that's only one of you. As long as you kill each other, I will represent the boss and let one of you survive. How about that?" Nalan Jingza immediately looked at Nalan Xingming upon hearing this. Nalan Xingming's face was also distorted. He stared at Heshi fiercely. Nalan Heshi, don't go too far. I'm a martial artist of the gold core stage. If I risk my life to explode my gold core, you won't gain anything from it. Little golden dragon hummed and said, then you can blow yourself up if you dare. Nalan Xingming looked at Nalan Zhengze and said bitterly, Zhengze, you and I join forces. I don't believe we can't deal with Nalan Heshi. I count to 3, let's go together. Okay, third elder, I will listen to you. Nalan Xingming stood up abruptly from the ground and he said, 1, 2, however, before he could speak 3, his eyes suddenly widened. He looked at his abdomen in disbelief. There was a dagger stuck in it, and the dagger was still shining with a dark purple light. The dagger was painted with poison. Nalan Xingming opened his mouth wide, looking at the person who just released the dagger. His eyes were full of anger. Nalan Zhengze, you, how can you? Nalan Zhengze let go of the dagger, took a step back embarrassedly, and muttered, I want to live, I want to live. So you must die. Nalan Xingming, you should die for me. As he said, he looked at Heshi abruptly. He said fanatically, you see, I have killed him. Nalan Heshi, you must abide by the agreement, spare me, spare me. Little golden dragon looked at Nalan Zhengze's behavior, and the contempt in his eyes had turned into disgust. He turned around and landed on Heshi. He said resentfully, boss, this kind of person has no shame at all. It's simply too abhorrent. Letting him live in the world is simply polluting the air, why not kill him? Nalan Zhengze's expression suddenly changed hearing that. He shouted hysterically, you promised me. As long as I kill Nalan Xingming, you will let me go, Nalan Heshi, you promised. Heshi coldly looked at the crazy Dr. Nalan, reached out to touch the little golden dragon, and sneered, flying flower sword rain didn't kill you, it means I didn't want the lives of you too. Nalan Zhengze was overjoyed, you will let me live. Let you live. Heshi seemed to hear the funniest joke, I just reluctant to let you die like this, otherwise, wouldn't it be too easy on you? Nalan Zhengze, have you forgotten? In that dark cave, what did you do to my brother and how you tortured him? If I don't let you suffer the same torture and die again, how can I be willing? Nalan Zhengze's eyes widened in horror. His lips opened and closed as if he wanted to speak, but he could only make a stuttering sound. After Heshi finished speaking, purple vines shot out from her wrist. No! Before Nalan Zhengze finished speaking, the purple vines had entangled his hands and feet. Only a click sound could be heard. His wrists and ankles were actually broken by purple abyss vine. The intense pain caused Nalan Zhengze to let out a miserable howl, but the torture was not over. Purple abyss vine hovered in the air for a while, wrapped his whole body, and suddenly a powerful magical power radiated out. Immediately afterward, Nalan Zhengze wailed even more painfully. When purple abyss vine released him, he could no longer stand, and could no longer use spiritual power. He could only lie on the ground softly like a rag. Heshi walked forward slowly. She looked at Nalan Zhengze's desperate and resentful eyes, and her mouth corner was lifted. Nalan Zhengze, don't you like to treat others as pets and torture them as slaves or beasts? I'm now giving you a chance to experience this kind of life. Your hands and feet have been severed, and the meridians throughout your body have been severely damaged. You can no longer cultivate and use martial arts. However, your dantian is still intact. It can filter the impurities in the spirit plant elixir and crystal stone. Especially, you who have the cultivation of the gold core stage, you will for a long time and will not die easily. As long as we put you into the slave market and sell in the vessel auction, I believe countless people will rush to buy you. For the rest of your life, you will live a living hell. You will be treated even worse than an animal. Maybe because your meridians are severed, you can't even explode your gold core. You can't even die easily from things like biting your own tongue. Nalan Zhengze opened his mouth and yelled, no, no. Kill me. I don't want to be a vessel. Heshi sneered, we will not kill you. The only Nalan Xingming who can kill you has just been killed by your own hands. Nalan Zhengzi, all your paths and endings are chosen by you. This is karma. When you did outrageous things, did you think that one day you will suffer the same things? No, forgive me. Wu, please forgive me. He didn't go to see him again, but she just spoke to Qing Wan indifferently, ruin his face so that the person who buys him will not recognize him as Nalan Zhengzi, then ask Chen Bai to send him to the slave market. Yes, miss. Qing Wan took care of Nalan Zhengzi, then she handed the person to Chen Bai who was lurking in the mansion before returning to He. He was sitting in Anlingyue's courtyard at this time, staring at the depressed scenery in the garden in a daze. Qing Wan reported in her ear, Chen Bai has asked people to disperse Nalan Mansion's subordinates. When they heard that the master of Nalan Mansion was dead, they didn't even stay for a moment, they all ran away without looking back. He nodded and took a sip of the tea in her hand. Qing Wan glanced at Mrs. Nalan, who was still in a coma in the corner of the room and said, Miss, what about that person? He glanced at her and said lightly, give her the antidote, throw her out of Nalan Mansion, and let her perish on her own. Miss, you don't kill her. I heard she bullied you too. He laughed, Murong Yaru and Nalan Feishue are nothing more than poor things sacrificed by the Nalan family. Nalan Feishue thought that she can be arrogant and can trample Nalan He under her feet, but in fact she doesn't know she is just a pawn used by Nalan Zhengzi to monitor and test Nalan He. The same is true for Mrs. Nalan. Now that these two chess pieces have lost their effect, they have been completely abandoned by the Nalan family. Although I hate them for humiliating Nalan He at the beginning, they have now received their due retribution. Being sold and abandoned by the people closest to them, and lost everything, such punishment is enough for them. Qing Wan nodded again and again. A smile appeared on his face, Miss, don't worry, I understand. The two of them talked, and no one paid attention to Mrs. Nalan who was unconscious in the corner. So they didn't see that water stains flowed down from Mrs. Nalan's bloody face, which made the messy face even hideous. One night later, the people in Yanjing City were horrified to find that the Nalan family, which was originally one of the four major families, was completely empty overnight. Several houses inside collapsed, the front and rear yards were smashed into a mess, all valuable things were messed up and left on the ground. The most frightening thing was that no one can be seen in the entire huge mansion. The streets were full of people discussing this matter. Thinking of the extinctions of Murong family and Ouyang family that happened recently, now it was the Nalan family's turn. It made the martial artists feel uneasy. Why is Nalan Mansion destroyed? Isn't Dr. Nalan's reputation always very good? Who would have trouble with him? I heard that many martial artists from sects and aristocratic families rushed into the Nalan family yesterday. Everyone was fierce and vicious. It seemed like they went to reason with Dr. Nalan. I heard that the Jiuyin Lingshan pill that Dr. Nalan sold is fake, it has no effect at all. What? Juku Lingshan pill was promoted as a magical medicine. How much benefit did the Nalan family get with this medicinal pill? How could it be fake? If Juku Lingshan pill is really fake, then it makes sense for the Nalan family to be eliminated. I think it must be done by those who were deceived by Dr. Nalan. This Yanjing city is really a scary place. There is only one Huangfu family left in the four major families. Will all the Huangfu family be destroyed? My cousin is still serving as a guard inside, otherwise I think I still tell him to leave early. On the streets of Yanjing City, everyone was talking about it. At this time, He was standing alone in the most beautiful waterwood domain in the sealed dragon domain, stunned. In front of her, was Mammy Chen's tombstone. Beside Mammy Chen's tombstone, there was also a small circle of stone monuments without a name. What placed in this tombstone was the old clothes of Nalan He. He stretched out her hand, gently pressed it on the tombstone, and said softly, Nalan He, you will surely meet your mother and Mammy Chen who loves you in the afterworld, right? You stay and live a good life with them from now on. choose a better life to reincarnate in your next life. In this world, all the people you cared for, I will take care of them for you. Above the tombstone, the willow leaf fluttered gently with the breeze, bringing a fresh breath, as if to tell Nalan Heshi's gratitude and blessings. Heshi reached out and grabbed the willow leaf that was fluttering in front of her. As she was about to shove it away, she suddenly felt that she was embraced in a warm and broad embrace. Nangong Yu's deep and magnetic voice sounded in her ears, "Sheer, escape to this sealed dragon domain alone without telling me. You knew that there are many enchantments in this sealed dragon domain, and I can't enter without Sheer's permission. Are you intending to run away from me? N? Really disobedient." Heshi turned around, pressed his chest in annoyance, and chuckled, "Your Royal Highness King of Hell, is there any place in the Miluo continent that can stop your King of Hell? This sealed dragon domain's enchantments are strong, but I think it is impossible to stop you, King of Hell, right? Didn't you just come in without my permission?" Nangong Yu grabbed her hand, put it to his lips and kissed it. He then smiled and said, as a man who can match Sheer, of course, I must be strong enough." Shameless. Heshi blushed and pushed him away. "Since you have come in, why not I take you to stroll around sealed dragon domain?" "Wait." Nangong Yu pulled her back into his arms, pointed to the tombstone and asked, "Sheer, whose tombstone is this? Why not write the name?" Heshi glanced at the small tombstone without words. She said softly with a serene expression, "It's an old friend of mine." Nangong Yu frowned, clasped her chin, and turned her face to him. "What kind of old friend?" "I don't even know." Heshi smiled slightly, "I can't say it, at least not yet." Purple light gleamed in the clear and beautiful phoenix eyes. It seemed to bury endless vicissitudes and the vast world. Nangong Yu looked at the beautiful girl in front of him, feeling that she was far away from him inexplicably, as if she would slip away from his hand at any time. He suddenly reached out and hugged her into his arms, and he whispered in a low voice, "Sheer, I cannot ask your secrets. But promise me, never run away from me." Heshi was silent for a long time, and she hugged him back, "Nangong Yu, as long as you don't betray me and abandon me, I will never leave you." The two got their sweet moment for a while, then Heshi began to take Nangong Yu strolling around in the sealed dragon domain. Although Nangong Yu had been to sealed dragon domain's secret territory a long time ago, all the ultimate deadly enchantments were activated by the time. Each place he went into was a life-threatening crisis. Even if he wanted to visit it properly, there was no way. But now that Heshi had become the master of this secret realm, the thing was different. Every plant, tree, enchantment, and even ferocious beast were under Heshi's control. Nangong Yu held Heshi's hand as they wandered among the beautiful scenery of green mountains and green waters. Heshi couldn't help turning her head and asked, "Did you know long ago that I'm the new owner of the sealed dragon domain's secret territory?" Nangong Yu nodded without hesitation. He even put up a proud expression of, "Your man is just smart," on his face. Heshi laughed, but she couldn't help being curious. "When did you know?" "Stupid Sheer." Nangong Yu stretched out his hand and scratched the tip of her nose, and he said with a slight smile, "When others lost their treasures in the secret realm, you took out so many treasures in the secret realm to give to me. You even gave me the imitation version of sealed dragon sword to me. Weren't you telling me that you are the new master of the sealed dragon domain?" Heshi blushed immediately. She was worried about Nangong Yu's safety at that time. She really didn't think so much. Nangong Yu liked her inadvertent trust to him very much. He held her and kissed her several times until Heshi got angry and pushed him away. Of course, it was not only Heshi in the sealed dragon domain, but there were also many slaves purchased by Shi-san. These slaves were originally born miserably, but after following Heshi, they enjoyed a life like heaven. Especially those who had no cultivation and were treated like trash, their cultivation was soaring at a crazy speed. This made them happy and joyful in their hearts, and they worshipped Heshi as a god. Now, the servants in the sealed dragon domain occasionally saw Nangong Yu and Heshi walked by. They only saw the handsome and unparalleled looks of the male and the charming beautiful female. The attitude of intimacy made people just think they are a perfect pair. They couldn't help feeling delighted that their miss could find such a suitable man. So, in just half a day, the news that their miss and her husband were walking together in the sealed dragon domain together spread throughout the secret realm. Except for Xiaoli, Shi Jia, and others who were cultivating in a retreat. Even Ouyang Haoshuan, who had just recovered from his injuries, knew about it. Heshi and Nangongyu passed by the bottom of the valley where they encountered the Dapeng bird. Heshi looked at the familiar scene and couldn't help but smile. The Nangongyu whom I met in the beginning was probably the most desolate Nangongyu I have ever seen. Nangongyu squeezed her cheek. His voice had the hint of a smile, but it sounded a little unwilling and depressed. The one who entered sealed dragon domain's secret territory that day was actually a clone of my fundamental essence. Its cultivation level was only equivalent to the initial stage of nascent soul. If it was in a real fight, it might not be able to defeat Feng Yunjing. This was the second time Heshi heard him mention fundamental essence's clone. She couldn't help but look up at him in surprise. Nangongyu suddenly stretched out his hand and hugged Heshi tightly, his face full of annoyance. I didn't expect you to enter sealed dragon domain's secret territory, let alone that you would conflict with Feng family. If I knew it, I would definitely use a stronger clone so that it is strong enough to protect you in the secret realm, and you wouldn't hurt as well. Heshi remembered everything that happened outside the purple golden palace that day. She snorted coldly, not powerful enough. You obviously saw Feng Lingyin couldn't move. Thinking of the scenes at that time, Heshi's heart still had the long-lost hostility and depression. Her figure flickered, and she brought Nangongyu to the Greenwood domain, where the purple golden palace inherited. This place had changed a lot now. Of course, the purple golden palace had long since disappeared, but now there were some houses in the original purple golden palace. Although these houses were not gorgeous and exquisite, they were connected in a circle. They looked indescribably warm and elegant. But Heshi looked at the scene in front of her without a smile on her face. What she remembered was an unpleasant past. The past was like a fishbone stuck in her throat. It wasn't that she still cared about Nangongyu's attitude at the time. After all, the relationship between the two was far less intimate than it was now. What she cared about was that Nangongyu turned coldly to heal Feng Lianying at that time. Was it because he believed Feng Lianying's words and regarded Heshi as a despicable person who did dirty tricks behind the scenes? That day, Feng Lianying and I took the Purple Golden Palace inheritance test together, and she failed. But when I accepted the inheritance, she sneak attacked me. If it weren't for Little Egg and Little Golden Dragon risking their lives to save me, if it weren't for Zhou Yanan and Gu Lufeng rushing here by the time, I might have died in Feng Lianying's hands. Nangongyu's body trembled suddenly. He stretched out his hand to hug her tightly, and he said in a hoarse voice, "Sheer, stop talking." Heshi smiled faintly. Her expression full of relief. I always don't like to explain, but Nangongyu, you are different after all, so I'm willing to tell you the thoughts in my heart. That day, I made a narrow escape from Feng Lianying's hands, then you came. I thought you would choose to protect me and believe me, but you chose to stand beside Feng Lianying and show me a ruthless figure of your back. You even wanted to kill Gu Lufeng, but you never thought that I would have died in Feng Lianying's hands if Gu Lufeng didn't come. He was my savior. The hands that Nangongyu hugged her trembled slightly. His eyes seemed to be filled with emotions like countless stormy waves. His voice became hoarse and low as if it contained countless regrets, pity and love. Sheer, I was wrong, I was dazzled by jealousy at that time. Seeing you and Gu Lufeng together, seeing you whispered softly to Gu Lufeng, I was going crazy. Feng Lianying, I never had feelings for her, but at that time I sent too few people into the valley, and the strength of the Feng family was too strong. I was afraid they would harm you, I only thought I couldn't defend them. Sheer, I have never loved other people like you, so I don't know how to deal with such a turbulent love. Sometimes the feelings and possessiveness that are tumbling in my heart even make me afraid. I'm afraid that I will hurt you and scare you away from me. Heshi said what she had hidden in her heart for a long time, and she felt relieved. Hearing his incoherent confession at this time, she couldn't help but laugh. Nan Gongyu, why are you aggrieved like I bullied you? It's fine, I'm just revisiting the old place, and I was just touched by my emotions. Let's not discuss this topic anymore. Nan Gongyu didn't let go of her, but he hugged her tighter. Sheer, I really can't. Before Nan Gongyu ended his sentence, He pushed him away. Her face was full of shame. Her gaze was looking not far ahead. Her tone was lower due to guilty conscience and embarrassment, but she still tried to maintain her calm. Ouyang Haoshuan, when did you stand there? Hearing this, Nan Gongyu immediately removed the surging love and affection in his eyes and looked coldly to the side. They saw a young man wearing a white brocade. He had with slanted eyebrows and star eyes, and he was tall and straight, but his face was pale and haggard. Nan Gongyu recognized him almost at a glance, Ouyang Haoshuan, the only son of the Ouyang family. But just because he recognized him, Nan Gongyu's eyes showed an unbelievable look. The man in front of him looked exactly like Ouyang Haoshuan, but he was totally different from the Ouyang Haoshuan he had in mind. After his meridians were severed and he had experienced all the joys and sorrows of life for more than 1 year, Ouyang Haoshuan's temperament had become introverted and gloomy. But the man in front of him couldn't be just described as gloomy. His whole body was covered with thick darkness, and his eyes were as deep as stagnant water. There was only endless darkness in there. Ouyang Haoshuan was even closer to darkness as compared to him who cultivated in the dark spiritual power. It was as if the person standing in front of him was not an individual, but the evil Shura climbing up from hell. Moreover, if he remembers correctly, wasn't Ouyang Haoshuan's cultivation a few months ago was only at the intermediate level of the gold core, right? But now, not to mention that his cultivation was close to the peak of the gold core stage, there was also the faint fire spiritual power emanating from his body that made Nan Gongyu feel a little scruple. He frowned slightly, and his eyes on Ouyang Haoshuan were full of scrutiny. Ouyang Haoshuan was also looking at him. The look in his eyes was unwavering, but it brought a faint hint of inspecting and ice cold. The cold and gloomy aura exuded from the eyes, making Nan Gongyu feel unspeakably depressed. He had told Nan Gongyu about General Ouyang's death by Feng Yunjing, including Ouyang Haoshuan's recognition of her as his master. She just concealed the fact that Ouyang Haoshuan had fire element spirit pearl in his body. After all, according to her master, fire element spirit pearl was too rare and precious, it was coveted by everyone else. If fire element spirit pearl was on her, she certainly didn't mind telling Nan Gongyu, but she couldn't expose the location of fire element spirit pearl without Ouyang Haoshuan's permission. It would only add danger to him. Although Nan Gongyu was mentally prepared, Ouyang Haoshuan was no longer the original Ouyang Haoshuan, but when he saw him, he was still shocked. Because of the current Ouyang Haoshuan gave him a feeling that even he couldn't see through. At this time, He finally got over. Seeing Ouyang Haoshuan remain silent, she couldn't help calling out, Ouyang Haoshuan? Are you okay? Ouyang Haoshuan regained his senses immediately. He put on a gentle smile and looked at He. Don't worry, I'm completely healed. It was just this look and one sentence that suddenly turned the surprise in Nan Gongyu's eyes into alert. He almost instinctively stretched out his hand and took He into his arms. He whispered into her ears as if to announce his authority, Sheer, I'm bored with this place, let's go to other places. He blushed, only to think that Nan Gongyu was so rascal and shameless that even she was helpless. But she still couldn't bear to disappoint Nan Gongyu, so she nodded. Ouyang Haoshuan, we'll go first, make yourself at home. She waved at Ouyang Haoshuan, then she was going to bring Nan Gongyu to another secret domain. Suddenly, she thought of something, she smiled and said, Oh, right, since your injury has healed, I will take you out in 2 days. Although the Feng family people are looking for you everywhere now, it's fine now. At that time, I will help you to change your face. Although it isn't good if they found out, I still can catch a few insignificant juniors to vent out your grievance. Ouyang Haoshuan's eyebrows revealed a faint smile. He was looking straight at her. He just said faintly, Okay, I'll wait for you to help me disguise. After Heshi finished explaining, without any hesitation, she mind-controlled the domain space and their figures slowly disappeared from this water-moon domain. Before the figure disappeared completely, Nangong Yu's cold and stern eyes met Ouyang Haoshuan's serene eyes. A hint of warning in his eyes flashed away. Ouyang Haoshuan, don't think I can't tell. Your eyes, which are colder than dead water, will only shine brightly when you look at Sheer. What kind of eyes you are looking at Sheer, and in what mood you were signing a master-servant contract with Sheer. However, Ouyang Haoshuan, whatever you think is useless. Because Sheer is destined to be mine. Heshi took Nangong Yu to the Burning Sky Domain. As the name suggests, Burning Sky Domain was the place where flames soared into the sky, so the temperature here is extremely high. But for martial artists such as Nangong Yu and Heshi, this heat was nothing. Heshi's divine sense moved and she immediately conveyed her ideas. Only less than a minute later, 10 people including Shi Jia and Shi Yi appeared in front of Heshi excitedly. At the moment, their skins were indescribably dark and rough. Not sure if they were sunburned or scratched by the wind, all of their bodies were covered with scars. However, compared with a few months ago, their spirits today were completely different. Heshi could clearly perceive that they had reached the foundation establishment stage. They were even above the intermediate level of the foundation establishment stage. Shi Jia even reached the peak of the foundation establishment stage. Heshi felt very satisfied. It seemed that Shi Jia and the others hadn't been slacking off during this time. When Shi Jia and the others saw Heshi, they immediately bowed and knelt down. Their eyes full of enthusiasm and admiration. Miss, you are finally back. Heshi nodded and got them up. She probed the bodies of 10 people with spiritual power, and she found that their physical foundations had been very stable. Next, they could finally cultivate the celestial demon mystic extreme art. Very good. Heshi put a smile on her face. You all didn't slack in your cultivation progress for even a day. I'm very satisfied. Shi Jia quickly said on behalf of the others, Miss gave us such a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. If we miss it due to our laziness, how can we forgive ourselves? Heshi turned and looked at Nangong Yu. What do you think of their talent in cultivating physique? Nangong Yu looked at her with adoring eyes, and he complimented with no standards at all. The subordinates trained by Sheer are naturally the best. However, he just felt particularly displeased when he thought of Sheer be with a group of men every day and even trained them earnestly. Heshi pushed him a bit and said annoyingly, don't just try to flatter me. Nangong Yu squeezed the tip of her nose before smiling softly. The 10 of them don't have the talent for cultivating physique, and of course, their talent in training spiritual power too. But, someone seems to have changed their muscles and physique with medicine, making their foundation solid. Now that they are training with such a strange method, if it's calculated according to the normal rank of the physique training, they should have at least reached the blood replacement period. Because the advancement of physique training is very slow, their current advancement speed can already be called super fast. The conversation between the two really shocked Shi Jia and the others. Why is the handsome man who is exuding an intimidating demeanor and has unfathomable cultivation? Why is he so intimate to Miss? Could it be that this is our Mrs. husband? Wait. In this world, what kind of man is worthy of our Miss? Is his cultivation high? Is his family background good? Does he have any concubine? Can he be obedient to Miss in the future? How old our Miss is? Why is this man already eyeing her? Thinking of this, the gazes of Shi Jia and others at Nangong Yu were suddenly full of alert and hostility. Heshi didn't notice the emotional changes of Shi Jia and others. And Nangong Yu, even if he noticed, he wouldn't care. He had always cared about Heshi alone. They are now cultivating a physique cultivation method called Celestial Demon Mystic Extreme Art. Heshi frowned. I'm not a martial artist of physique training, and I don't know the system of physique training much. Nangong Yu, if you are free, can you give them some pointers? Nangong Yu nodded without hesitation. My wife has an order for me, how dare I don't obey? He rolled her eyes on him as a response. Will this man die if he doesn't take advantage on my words? But Jia couldn't help but looked at Nan Gongyu suspiciously. Miss, this young master is also a physique cultivator. Has he reached the blood replacement period? In fact, the people below He worshipped her blindly while turning a blind eye to other experts. Shi-san was like this, but after all, he had been the housekeeper of Nalan Mansion for several years. He still knew not to offend the people with identity in the outside world. But Jia and others, their misfortune in the first half of their lives and their luck in the second half of their lives were in sharp contrast. For them, He was their god, their idol. No matter how powerful were the other martial artists, they were absolutely impossible to compare with Mississippi. What's more, the man in front looked very handsome, but his age was just a few years elder than hers. At this age, can he really have a great breakthrough in physique cultivation? Impossible, right? He was taken aback when she heard Jia's questioning, then she couldn't help but giggle. Then it became a loud laugh. It was the first time that she saw someone look down on Nan Gongyu and questioned his strength. Jia, can you all don't be so cute and straightforward? Nan Gongyu hugged the girl who was laughing in a tremble, and he tapped her forehead in annoyance. Heartless little girl, are you so happy to see me making a fool of myself? Although he was reprimanding, his voice was full of doting and joy. He seemed to love He laughing so presumptuously in front of him. He was enough laughing, then she coughed slightly and looked at Jia and the others, who were a little confused. Before speaking, she couldn't help but smile, her eyes filled with sly smiles. Jia, the person standing in front of you is also a physique cultivator, and he has reached the bone tempering state. Bone tempering? Jia and the others exclaimed strongly, how is this possible? He looks so young. Physique training was different from spiritual power training. Spiritual power training was to use spiritual power to cycle the whole body, and spiritual power itself had the effect of rejuvenating one's look. What about physique training? Physique training was to constantly temper the body. The person's muscles and bones would become strong and powerful, but there was no way to stay young. If it was a female physique cultivator, she would become more and more rough and ugly. But the man in front is so handsome. He looks like he is just in his early 20s. How can he possibly reach the bone tempering state? The bone tempering state of physique training, compares with spiritual power training, is between the level of gold core stage and nascent soul stage. Without at least 100 years of training, even if he is a genius, it is still impossible to reach, right? He was only laughing without saying a word, she still couldn't resist laughing in her mind. Knowing that they didn't believe it, Nan Gongyu couldn't help but snort. He suddenly stretched out his hand to grab, and a fire crystal stone not far away flew into his palm. Under the astounding gaze of Jia and others, Nan Gongyu exerted force in his hand. The fire crystal stone instantly turned into powder and scattered away. During the period, Jia and others did not feel any spiritual power fluctuations in Nan Gongyu. And the fire crystal stone had such a hot temperature, but it didn't hurt Nan Gongyu a bit. They widened their eyes. Their eyes not only had doubt and alert, but they were full of astonishment. The fire crystal stones in this burning sky domain were all very high level. They couldn't stand it even if they touched them with their hands, but the man in front of them could actually crush the fire crystal stones into powder. This kind of strength, this kind of intensity, it is indeed very likely that he has reached the bone tempering state. But, how old is he? How can he reach the bone tempering state? Shigue, the most straightforward of the 10, and the only woman among the 10, could not help blurting out, Miss, how old is this young master? Could it be that he looks young, but he is already about 80 years old? Miss, he is so old, he really isn't a good match for you. Before Shigue finished speaking, He couldn't help laughing out loud. This time, she really did not have any scruples at all, even tears came out. Nan Gongyu. That's King of Hell Nan Gongyu. He is said to be the dream man of many girls, but now he is being despised by Shigue for being old. Ha ha ha. Nan Gongyu's face was dark and scary, and he really wanted to tear the mouths of these people. She actually said that I'm old. I'm not worthy of Sheer. Do these people want to die, or they want to die 10,000 times? However, hearing Heshi burst into laughter and seeing that she was so happy, he couldn't help showing a helpless look. He held her tightly and also patted her back with the other hand to prevent her from being out of breath by laughing. When Heshi was done laughing, she then pushed Nan Gongyu away and looked at Shi Jia and others again. Right, I forgot to introduce his identity to you. Shi Jia and the others were also full of doubts at this time, not knowing what their miss was laughing at. Coupled with seeing their miss being so intimate with him, they couldn't wait to know the identity of this future master. Heshi retrieved the smile on her face and said lightly, his name is Nan Gongyu. Nan Gongyu? Called Nan Gongyu? What's so strange about that? Suddenly, Shi Yi among the 10 was stunned and let out an exclamation, Nan Gongyu? Isn't he the king of hell Nan Gongyu who reached the nascent soul stage at the age of 20? They were slaves at the bottom, but it didn't mean that they didn't even know the Jinling Kingdom's first powerhouse, Miluo Continent's first peerless genius, king of hell, Nan Gongyu. Heshi smiled and nodded, and, although I don't know if there is a second Nan Gongyu in this world, this is the only one I know. What? King. Your Royal Highness King of Hell. The King of Hell who repelled the magical beast army. But, isn't your Royal Highness King of Hell a master of nascent soul stage? Why does he still training in physique? King of Hell is only in his early 20s now. How could it be possible to reach the bone-tempering state? Is it that he has a dual cultivation of spiritual power and physique? How is this possible? Such a person has never appeared in the Miluo continent in thousands of years. One after another discussion sounded from Shi Jia and other people, and everyone's faces were full of shock and amazement. This time, their gazes at Nan Gongyu have completely changed. There was not a trace of frivolity, not a trace of doubt. Many people even lowered their eyes and dared not look directly at his deep eyes. Nan Gongyu was very satisfied with their reaction and finally showed a little smile on his face. Even despised me for being old. Even said I'm not worthy of Sheer. However, he thought so in his heart, but his face was still indifferent. There wasn't any emotion on his face. Sheer is my future princess. Since you are Sheer's confidants and suitable for physique training, I will naturally guide you. After I have read the Celestial Demon Mystic Extreme Art, I will come to check your progress one by one. I will see what I can do by then. Shi Jia and others were overjoyed. They may doubt the cultivation and ability of a young master, but what if this young master was the famous King of Hell? Their doubt and alert were all gone. Many people even thought that their miss was so excellent, so only His Royal Highness King of Hell could be worthy of her in this world. Thank you Master, also meant for the husband of Heshi, for your guidance. Shi Jia suddenly returned to his senses and knelt down. Shi Jia knelt, and the other 9 people immediately recovered, knelt down and thanked. Nan Gongyu smiled slightly. He was quite satisfied with this master. His intention of teaching them a lesson had reduced by a lot. She was sweating, Master. They get bought over so quickly. After sending away Shi Jia and the others, Heshi went to visit Shao Tan in the desert. Shaoli was now in the most dangerous beast gathering area in the desert. Most of the beasts were rank 4 or 5. Under the siege of a group of rank 4 or 5 magical beasts, it would be deadly if she was careless. So when Heshi entered the desert, she didn't use the spiritual pet contract to summon Shaoli. Instead, she planned to take Nan Gongyu to leisurely travel all the way to see the current cultivation progress of Shaoli. However, not long after they entered the desert realm, suddenly a figure rushed from a distance like a dashing wind. This figure was not a human being, but a little fox with white fur all over. There were 3 tails behind the little fox. The little fox ran extremely fast. When Heshi recovered, it already rushed to the front of Heshi excitedly. Without waiting for Heshi to speak, the little fox's figure flickered, transformed into a little girl, and jumped into Heshi's arms. Miss! Miss! Woo-woo, why you didn't come to see Xiaoli for long? Xiaoli held Heshi tightly, rubbing her little head in her arms. Her voice was ecstatic and was sobbing. Heshi always felt sorry for the little fox who had suffered all kinds of hardships. Hearing her words, she couldn't help but touch her hair lightly. She said softly, "Okay, don't cry. I'm just afraid I will disturb your cultivation. How is your progress now?" Xiaoli burst into laughter when she heard the words. As she channeled her spiritual power, 3 huge white tails appeared behind her. She looked like a kid asking for praise and candy, looking at Heshi earnestly and shaking the little tails behind her. "Miss, look, I have 3 tails now. I won't be caught so easily. My mind control technique has also improved a lot. I will be able to help Miss in the future." Heshi looked at her crystal clear eyes, they were filled with Heshi's shadow. She couldn't help but smile and touch her head. She praised, My Xiaoli is indeed amazing. You can cultivate 2 tails in such a short time." Xiaoli laughed, and her face flushed like a cute apple. When she turned her head, she saw Nangongyu standing beside Heshi, her eyes widened. She was bewildered at first, then she suddenly remembered it. She exclaimed, "Ah, I know you, you are the beautiful brother who came to our courtyard to get free food and drink." Get free food and drink. Beautiful brother. Nangongyu felt that his mouth had twitched more today than in the past 20 years of his life. What are these people around Shir? Heshi gave a low cough, held back her laugh, and did not dare to provoke Nangongyu anymore. He was already angry enough today. "Xiaoli, don't be rude to guests. Who said I'm a guest?" Nangongyu took Heshi into his arms. He didn't care about polluting the pure mind of the little fox and kissed the back of her neck fiercely. Although the kiss wasn't very intense, he showed his authority in an arrogant manner. The little fox's eyes widened seeing that. After a long time, the little girl stammered, "Miss, how can, Sister Xiaoli is stupid." Before Heshi spoke, Little Egg's voice had sounded. He said with excitement and pride, "Because the beautiful brother is a daddy, because he is a daddy, so he can play kiss-kiss with mom. In the future, they will sleep in one bed and give birth to a baby." Alright. This time it was Heshi's turn to be ashamed. She was about to go rampage. Who is the master of this little egg? Why are you always helping that bastard Nangongyu every time? Wasn't he just gave you a few treasures? Okay. He gave you a few valuable treasures. This miser with no conscience. However, Nangongyu's face immediately looked better. His face was full of complacency, and his eyes softened as he looked at Little Egg. "Little one," nicely said. "I'll give him some treasures when I go back." Xiaoli was still a little ignorant about giving birth to a baby, but after hearing Little Egg's words, she felt that this beautiful brother and Miss were close, and her Miss liked him very much. Okay then, I love those whose Miss loves, I won't dislike this beautiful brother." After Little Egg came out, Little Golden Dragon, Little Dumb Cow and Purple Abyss Vine also ran out of the void. Xiao Qi, who had a much better look than some time ago, also came out from the void. The spiritual power in the void was the strongest. Heshi wanted to let Xiaoqi stay in the void for a while, so he could make up for the vitality lost in the past few years. But Xiaoqi had a frightened temper due to being caged for a long time. At this time, he was brought out together with Little Egg, his eyes were beaming as he shouted OM excitement. Xiaoli was certainly happy to see Little Egg and Little Golden Dragon, but she was very confused about the appearance of Little Dumb Cow and Xiaoqi. "Little Egg, are they the new spiritual pets?" Little Egg jumped up in front of Xiaoli excitedly, showing an arrogant and pretentious expression. It seemed to be telling that, "I know everything, but you don't, let me introduce them to you. This is Little Cow. Mom also calls him Little Dumb Cow. It's stupid, and it can't even speak until now. It can only say one word at a time. It won't learn no matter how I teach it. When Little Dumb Cow heard Little Egg talking about itself, it immediately showed a silly smile. However, it still looked ugly when matching its smile to its face. Little Egg pointed to Xiao-Qi again. This is Mom's younger brother. He is a blood-related brother. His name is Xiao-Qi. We all call him Brother Qi. His head was injured, so he can't speak yet. But Brother Qi is smart. When Mom taught him how to dress and eat by himself, he can learn them well. She was amused for a while. Little Egg called her Mom, but he called Xiao-Qi as brother. What kind of seniority was this? But she didn't correct him as long as they were happy. When Xiao-Qi heard his name, he immediately tilted his head to look over. He smiled while looking at the little girl's confused eyes. Xiao-Qi's appearance was clear and handsome. The most important thing was that he looked similar to He. His face that was previously thin and haggard was now recovered. He immediately showed an extraordinary temperament. Xiaoli didn't know why. Seeing the young boy who resembled her miss, she felt warm in her heart. The young boy in front also became kind as he couldn't help smiling at her. However, the little girl immediately remembered that after she had been away from Miss for so long, she didn't even know that she had gotten a new pet and found her younger brother. She immediately felt down. She grabbed Heshi's hand and said with a flattened mouth, "Miss, can I go out with you now?" Xiaoli also wants to help Miss beat the bad guys, and Xiaoli also wants to stay by your side. Heshi listened to her soft voice that was full of pleading, and she felt pity for her. She couldn't help saying softly, "You still can't stabilize your 3 tails yet. You train 1 more month in this desert domain first. When you can stabilize your realm, you can return to me." "Really, miss?" Xiaoli was overjoyed. Seeing Heshi nodding, the little girl cried and laughed suddenly. Her tails were wagging non-stop. Xiao-Qi seemed very interested in her tails. He kept jumping around behind her tails with a happy smile on his face. The 4 little ones heard that Xiaoli would leave the secret territory in the future and go out to play with them, and they felt extremely happy. Little Egg even took out all the treasures that Nan Gongyu had given him, and let Xiaoli pick one of them. Heshi looked at the cheerful and playful appearance of several little ones from a distance while holding Nan Gongyu's wide palm her hand. Her heart was full of warmth and happiness. It would be great if such days could last forever. Shangguan Wenji witnessed the death of Ouyang Haoshuan and his wife at the foot of Breaking Spirit Mountain. They seemed to have aged for about 10 years. They had been depressed after returning to the palace. The Jinling kingdom had a short history in Miluo continent. He was also the first emperor of the Jinling kingdom. In this world where only the power mattered, martial artists who cultivated the immortal way controlled most of the strength and resources. The so-called emperor had no real power at all. Especially when comparing the Jinling kingdom to the Tian Gang, Sangming, and other countries, they had fewer lands and citizens, so he, the emperor, had always been very useless. This situation continued until Nan Gongyu, a peerless genius, appeared out. The Iron Kirin led by him repelled the magical beast army and stained the borders of the Jinling kingdom with the enemy's blood. The 20-year-old nascent soul stage martial artist made everyone feel terrified. No one dared to offend him for being young. It was the appearance of Nan Gongyu that made this country have a firm foothold in the Miluo continent. No one dared to covet it. However, when the Jinling kingdom was first established, it was the Ouyang family and Ouyang Zhixiong that firmly supported him. He used his Jinwei army to open up this road to the imperial power for the emperor. Shangguan Wenji still remembered that Ouyang Zhixiong used to have a Jinwei army of more than 200,000, but in order to clean up the civil strife for himself and fight against foreign enemies, in just a few years, the number of his army was reduced to less than 100,000. The 100,000 even included recruitment of new soldiers later. However, such a subordinate who was loyal to him, the founding hero of the Jinling kingdom, ended up in such a tragic death. His wife, Madame Ouyang, was even more defiled. Now the only son, Ouyang Haoshuan, was still missing and under pursuit. He knew that Ouyang Zhixiong and the Ouyang family would not rebel, so he had to acquiesce to the charge of Ouyang Zhixiong's rebellion due to the threat of the Feng family. He even let the Feng family search for the only son of General Ouyang in his own land. Ha! I'm really a useless emperor. Just as the young man named Shiyu said, I can't even protect my loyal ministers, I can't make decision in my own country, I'm only a puppet. I simply doesn't deserve to be an emperor. Such guilt had been torturing him, making him sleepless. When the crown prince proposed to include the 100,000 Jinwei army, Shangguan Wenji's depression in his heart for a long time finally broke out. He coldly looked at the talking son under the throne and said coldly, "What did you say? Say it again." Crown Prince Shangguanqi didn't seem to feel his father's anger and aggrievedness at all. Instead, there was an excited smile on his face. "Father, General Ouyang and his wife are now dead, and their only son Ouyang Haoshuan is currently missing. Even if he appears, with his identity as the traitor, he can no longer come to the palace. Now that General Ouyang's 100,000 Jinwei army has no leader, so it is the best time to include them. I have thought about it. These 100,000 Jinwei army are too loyal to the Ouyang family, they will only obey General Ouyang's command instead of the emperor. This is very detrimental to the concentration of our imperial power. So I plan to divide the 100,000 Jinwei army and assign them into the Imperial Guard and Qingyang army, so that they cannot connect with each other. In this way, they will naturally forget General Ouyang and be loyal to us. What does father think about that?" Before Shangguan Wenji hadn't spoken yet, and the sixth prince Shangguan Heng on the side had already taken a step forward and strongly opposed. "Father, this must not happen. Everyone in the Jinling kingdom knows that General Ouyang has done his duty to serve the Jinling kingdom, and he is even more loyal to father. Now General Ouyang and his wife had just died tragically and Ouyang Haoshuan's life and death is unknown. If we dismiss the Jinwei army and assign them to different armies, what will the people think of our Shangguan family for such making a moral decision? This move will make others feel disappointed. Who else will be willing to serve the royal family in the future? Will there be martial artists with outstanding talents who are willing to swear allegiance to father? Father must think twice." The sixth prince Shangguan Heng had a good relationship with Ouyang Haoshuan, even though their relationship had become quite distant when Ouyang Haoshuan's meridians were severed. However, now thinking that his childhood friend's family was killed and he was still being hunted down, he felt depressed. In addition, he and the crown prince didn't get along well initially. Now that the crown prince had said that he wanted to incorporate the Jinwei army, or even make the Jinwei army disappear from now on, he certainly couldn't allow it. The crown prince did not feel guilty when he heard the words, but he sneered, "Sixth brother, have you forgotten that the Ouyang family is a traitor who was convicted by father? Condemning the traitor is what it should be, how can the people feel disappointed? As for the Jinwei army, it was originally the royal army. Could it be that after Ouyang Zhixiong led the army for a dozen years, the army should belong to the Ouyang family? What a joke! Now that the Ouyang family is confiscated due to the rebel, isn't it right for me, as the crown prince, to incorporate the Jinwei army for father? Traitor! Traitor! Shangguanqi even keeps saying that Ouyang family is a traitor, does he feel shame at all?" The sixth prince's expression became extremely gloomy. "Brother, speak frankly, don't you know the best whether the Ouyang family is a traitor?" Moreover, everyone knew what happened at the mountain foot of the Breaking Spirit Mountain. Do you really think no one knows the real cause of death of General Ouyang and his wife? The crown prince flicked his sleeves, stared at the sixth prince, and sneered, "Sixth brother, what do you mean by this? Back then, it was father who announced the imperial decree that the Ouyang family is a traitor. Is sixth brother saying that father is incompetent?" The sixth prince's face became stiff, and he looked at Shangguan Wenji on the emperor's throne a little nervously. Shangguan Wenji's face was extremely gloomy. His both hands were clutching the armrest of the emperor's throne. The gold carving on the armrest was deeply embedded in his flesh, but he was unaware of it. After a long time, he let out a sigh of frustration and slowly said, "Okay, stop arguing. Keep the Jinwei army for now. Don't touch it for now. Don't assign the new general for the Jinwei army yet. Just let Chen Guangxian, General Ouyang's confidant, lead it." The sixth prince was overjoyed and quickly bowed down. "Father is wise." The crown prince's face distorted when he heard the words. Even if it was his father sitting on it, he couldn't help saying loudly, "Father, what do you mean? Jinwei army is the army of the Ouyang family, everyone knows about this. Now that father does not allow me to incorporate the Jinwei army, and you even let Ouyang Zhixiong's confidant to lead the army. Is father telling the Feng family that you're dissatisfied of their decision? You want to seek justice for General Ouyang?" At that time, if Feng family thinks that we have resentment and invades our Jinling kingdom, does father think we can defend ourselves? If you lose the throne and let the Jinling kingdom be plagued by war, how are you going to save the kingdom? What bullshit are you talking about? Ehem, Shangguan Wenji was furious. Seeing his own son actually pointed at him and scolded him, he was so infuriated that he almost lost his breath. Sixth prince also had an ugly face, and his gaze looking at the sixth prince was full of contempt. "Elder brother, no matter how strong the Feng family is, we are also the royal family. We should lead our people by example. If we submit to a strong enemy and reserve right and wrong to protect ourselves, how will the people think of us?" Ha ha ha, the crown prince couldn't help laughing. He looked at the sixth prince as if he was looking at an idiot. "Sixth brother, you sound so high-sounding, is it that you dare to fight with the Feng family? Father attaches importance to General Ouyang, is it that he dares to fight against the Feng family?" Seeing that both Shangguan Wenji and Shangguan Heng looked ugly, the crown prince couldn't help being even more proud. "Since I don't dare, it's better to listen to the Feng family's order. The Feng family is so powerful, there are countless masters of the gold core stage and industries in their hands. They also have a connection with the Doctors Association. As long as we satisfy the Feng family, there will be many benefits in the future." The sixth prince's eyes widened. "Elder brother, how can you be so shameless?" "Shameless? Hee, I'm smart man who knows good bird who chooses wood to live." The crown prince sneered. He didn't look embarrassed at all, but he was full of pride. "You want to keep the Jinwei army, for what? Are you waiting for the loser, Ouyang Haoshuan, to come back and lead the Jinwei army? Ha ha ha, stop dreaming. As soon as Ouyang Haoshuan appears, he will fall into the hands of the Feng family." Seeing sixth prince's expression full of anxiety and depression, the crown prince was even more proud. "Do you know how many masters Feng family sent to this Yanjing city after the incident in the Breaking Spirit Mountain? They all came to find Ouyang Haoshuan, not to mention whether Ouyang Haoshuan is alive or not. Even if he is alive, he can escape from the pursuit of the Feng family? By the time Ouyang Haoshuan will die, won't the Jinwei army not be able to find a leader? Now I include them to serve for the Jinling kingdom's royal family with my crown prince identity. What's wrong with that?" Sixth prince gritted his teeth and said viciously, "Shangguan Qi, you know that the Ouyang family was wronged, and Ouyang Haoshuan's life is now at stake. Never mind, you don't protect the Ouyang family, you even take advantage of their crisis. Do you still have a little bit of integrity of being a royal family? Look at how respectful you are to the Feng family. Wouldn't you sell the entire Jinling kingdom to them when you become the emperor? Willingly become their dog? Presumptuous." Shangguan Qi roared. A spiritual power surged from his body as he stared at sixth prince fiercely. "I'm the crown prince, and even your eldest brother, you dare to talk to me like this? Hee, you have so much moral integrity, then go and question the Feng family if you dare. Go condemn them for killing General Ouyang and his wife. If you are so good, go and arrest Feng Yunjing to seek justice for the Ouyang family. It's just that if you do this, I would like to know if you can live to see the dawn of tomorrow." The sixth prince's cultivation was low. As soon as Shangguan Qi released his aura, he backed away with an embarrassed look. Shangguan Wenji on the emperor throne finally couldn't bear it. He slapped the armrest fiercely and said in anger, "Enough, stop it now. Jinwei army stays as it is, and Qin Guang is in command for the time being. If any of you dare to touch the Jinwei army, don't blame me for being impolite." "Father!" Shangguan Qi let out an unwilling exclamation. Shangguan Wenji stared at him fiercely like a sharp blade. The pressure of Gold Core stage cultivator suddenly broke out. "Qi, I warn you, Jinwei army belongs to our Jinling kingdom's royal family, but it also belongs to the Ouyang family. It was established with Ouyang Zhixiong's effort. So, at least as long as General Ouyang's blood is still in the world, the army belongs to the Ouyang family, no one is allowed to move it. If you speak more, I will abolish your crown prince title and chase you out of the palace to be a lord." Shangguan Qi's eyes widened suddenly. His face was full of disbelief. "Father." But what was left to him was the determined back of Shangguan Wenji, as well as the relieved but mocking smile on Shangguan Heng's face. Shangguan Qi was left alone in the hall, only to feel that the anger in his heart surged upward. His eyes gradually became fierce. However, even though Shangguan Wenji scolded Shangguan Qi ferociously, he fell on the bed dejectedly after returning to his room. His face was full of sadness and resentment. The eunuch on the side hurriedly stepped forward and said, "Emperor, are you okay? Do you need me to get you medicinal pills?" Shangguan Wenji shook his head and sighed softly. Feng family, Feng family. Feng family is really too much. They obviously killed General Ouyang and his wife, but they still refused to let go of their only child, Ouyang Haoshuan. How did the Ouyang family offend Feng Yunjing, so that they are so ruthless? Although my heart is full of guilt, and I even keep the Jinwei army, hoping that Ouyang Haoshuan can stay alive, but, even if Ouyang Haoshuan is alive, how can he compete with the Feng family? In the end, wouldn't I end up just like Ouyang Haoshuan's parents? Shangguan Qi, that kid. I have high hopes for him, but now it seems that this person is too eager for quick success. For the sake of power, he is even willing to be a dog of the Feng family. He even loses the most basic conscience of being a man. The eunuch who had just questioned saw Shangguan Wenji sighed, and he immediately stepped forward to comfort him. "The emperor, the Feng family's power is big, and our Jinling kingdom is just a small country. We only have a few martial artists in the Gold Core stage, so we can't go against them. There is no other way. No one in the Jinling kingdom can go against the Feng family. No. There is still one person. There is at least one person, let alone the Feng family, no one in the entire Miluo continent dare not underestimate him. Even as long as he is still alive, if he is willing to call himself a subject of the Jinling kingdom, then Jinling kingdom will not fall." Thinking of this, Shangguan Wenji looked up abruptly and said loudly, "Quickly, you ask someone to check if the King of Hell is back. If he is back, report it to me immediately." King of Hell. The eunuch was stunned, and then immediately bowed and said, "As you wish." Shangguan Wenji clenched his fists with both hands and murmured, "If there is anyone in the Jinling kingdom who can go against the Feng family, it is only him. If he is willing to keep Ouyang Haoshuan, then the Ouyang family can still be saved." Listening to Shangguan Wenji's talk, the eunuch lowered his eyes slightly, revealing a sinister smile in a corner that Shangguan Wenji could not see. At this time, King of Hell Nan Gongyu, whom Shangguan Wenji was looking for, had been staying in the sealed dragon domain with Heshi for several days. Of course, the two people were still training most of the time. After all, in this world where the strong preyed on the weak, strength was the greatest guarantee. In addition to training, Heshi also had to refine pills and configure new poisons and detoxify medicinal pills. She was very busy. However, during this period, she still remembered to cook the dupang bird that she had hunted in the sealed dragon domain. When the fragrant barbecue was served on the table, all those who stared at the table couldn't help drooling. Fortunately, this dupang bird was really huge and had a lot of meat, so it was enough to serve everyone in the sealed dragon domain. Especially Little Egg and Shao Qi, they were chewing a slice of big meat until their faces were full of grease. They showed silly smiles from time to time. Little Egg also complained to Xiaoqi, "Brother Xiaoqi, you don't know, Mom has a master, but he is very bad. He always snatches Mom's food, and his belly is very big. I always can be full when I'm eating with him. Brother Xiaoqi, next time you see him help me beat him up, okay?" Xiaoqi bit off a piece of meat and watched Little Egg shook his fist at him. Little Egg thought he promised to beat up the old man next time, so he was overjoyed. He gave half of the barbecue he secretly hid to Xiaoqi. He saw that Xiaoqi's mouth was full of grease, and his clothes were messy, so she asked him to come over. The warm water's spiritual power combined with the wind's spiritual power quickly cleaned the stains on Xiaoqi's body and even dried the wet clothes. Xiaoqi looked up and smiled sillily at her, and he quickly and diligently handed out the meat in his hand to let He bite. He muttered, "Sister, sister." Xiaoqi had lost one soul, which was different from the little dumb cow who was late in developing intelligent. Although little dumb cow was very slow in learning to speak, now he could speak many words slowly. But as long as Xiaoqi didn't find his soul, he could have the same wisdom as a human being. Therefore, so far, the only words he could say were, "Sister." Hexi's eyes looked tender. She grabbed his wrist, lowered her head and took a bite on the meat. Xiaoqi was delighted immediately. He made a pleasant grunt in his throat. Hexi taught him how to bite into the meat without getting his clothes dirty. It was just that Xiaoqi had intelligence. Hexi taught him several times, but he still made his clothes dirty when he got back to eat. Half of his face was dark, but he smiled at Hexi happily. His eyes were brighter than the spring sun, making Hexi laugh too. Hexi was about to reach out to wipe the sauce on Xiaoqi's face, but she was suddenly embraced in a warm embrace. The man's low voice sounded in her ears with a slight grievance, "Sheer, didn't you say that you specially cooked this dapeng bird for? Why are you only paying attention to other people from the beginning until now?" Hexi laughed. She turned her head and looked up at Nan Gongyu. He was still gnawing the meat like the others. All of their mouths were full of grease. But this guy was the only one who still looked noble and spotlessly clean when eating barbecue. Is he good at pretending, or is he really has a good education that is in his bone? Hexi couldn't help but chuckle. She dipped her finger with some barbecue sauce secretly, and she wiped it on Nan Gongyu's mouth when he was not paying attention. For a while, it seemed that Nan Gongyu had half a beard, but Nan Gongyu's face was still young, so it was weird to have half a beard. Hexi laughed so hard at that. Nan Gongyu was teased by his beloved girl, and he was stunned first. At this time, everyone's eyes were all looking on them, especially his own confidants, Qing Long, Bai Hu, Wu Yu, Wu Xing, and so on. They were staring with their eyes wide open. Even Nan Gongyu was calm, his face was still slightly hot. When he looked at the girl, with blushing cheeks, smiling like a flower in his arms, he couldn't help being moved. When Hexi regained consciousness, the two of them had disappeared in the Greenwood domain where they were barbecuing. They appeared in the beautiful Water Moon domain. Hexi was startled, and she looked aside. "Why are you?" However, before the words were finished, her voice was completely covered up by Nan Gongyu. Just now when the girl leaned in his arms and smiled happily, the white jade-like skin turned slightly silvery red as if it could be melt with a slight touch. The slightly opened lips were pink and tender like a newly bloomed flower, revealing the white teeth and tender red tongue. Nan Gongyu suddenly felt that the delicious dapeng bird had lost its taste. Only the girl in his arms was his gluttonous feast. He couldn't wait any longer. As soon as the kiss ended, Hexi's body had become soft, she could only gasp for breath. This guy, Nan Gongyu, is so, why are his kissing skills getting better and better? He had broken through the soul-splitting stage when he was only 20 years old. He is even a physique cultivator, he also knows about array. Can this guy be more overpowered? Hexi reached out her hand and wiped her lips, feeling even more sad and angry in her heart. The smell of barbecue. As a result, the seasoning she just used to tease Nan Gongyu had now been used on herself. He actually teleported our positions directly and disappeared just like that. Who doesn't know what he wants to do? If I knew it, I wouldn't tell him how to control some of the enchantments of the sealed dragon domain's secret territory. Nangong Yu and Heshi were having an intimate moment in the Greenwood domain. The people who were still eating barbecue looked at each other for a while, then they all blushed and lowered their heads and continued to eat their own meat. Bai Hu bit the delicious dapeng bird meat and shook his head. Our princess is really amazing. This dapeng bird meat is notoriously old and smelly. I didn't expect it to be so delicious after being cooked by Princess Aya. Our master is so lucky to be able to marry Princess. Wouldn't he be able to eat different kinds of delicacies every day? Wu Yu couldn't help but nodded and agreed with Bai Hu's words. Yes, yes. It really is different kinds of food every day. You have never seen the food box Princess gave to master. I have never seen those dishes before, let alone tasting them. That fragrant, now I think back. Slurp. No way, I must find a wife who is particularly good at cooking in the future. Me too. Me too. Qing Wan, who was slowly eating dapeng bird meat, paused inexplicably when she heard the words, and her cheeks were slightly hot. Princess said that she would teach me and my Xiang to cook. In the future, will I be able to cook such delicious food like Princess? Bai Hu finished eating one piece in his hand, and took a look at the table. Seeing that there was not much, he quickly rushed over. It was just that he was in a hurry, so he bumped into the person next to him and staggered. Inexplicably, Bai Hu felt a hot breath sweeping his body with a deep chill. This description was actually very contradictory. Since it is a hot breath, how can it be chill? However, Bai Hu just felt a chill in his spine as if he had encountered something terrifying. He shook his hand, looked to the side, met Ouyang Haoshuan's calm brows, and breathed a sigh of relief. Hey, brother Ouyang, are you here to get the barbecue too? Come come, this piece is rich in seasonings, and the meat is tender. Take it, take it. Ouyang Haoshuan did not get polite with him. He took the barbecue from him and ate slowly. Seeing his gestures, Bai Hu's heart trembled. Ouyang Haoshuan gave him an unfathomable feeling like his master, making him feel creepy. However, Bai Hu remembered the rumors of the Ouyang family in Yanjing City, and he looked at him with sympathy. Brother Ouyang, about the tragic of your family. I'm sorry. Ouyang Haoshuan nodded, and a faint, gentle smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. Bai Hu felt that the smile was terrifying. He wanted to ask a few more questions, but he chose to run back with the barbecue. When he approached Gu Lufeng, he couldn't help muttering in a low voice, Hey brother Gu, do you know why Ouyang Haoshuan is here? While biting on the barbecue, Gu Lufeng said, his parents were killed by Feng Yunjing, and Feng Yunjing was pursuing him. At that time, Shiyu passed by and rescued him. She also helped him to keep the body of his parents' corpse, so he just stays with Shiyu. Bai Hu's voice was lowered. I always feel that the breath he exudes is so depressing that I dare not talk to him. Not only that, he obviously should be gold core stage, which is about the same level as me, but I can't see through him at all. Gu Lufeng sighed and said, a person who has experienced such drastic changes and tragedies, can he remain the same? Without Shiyu, their Ouyang family would have even become extinct. Now he can survive without revenging impulsively. I think it's already very good. What's more, he has signed a master-servant contract with Shiyu. He will never betray Shiyu. Speaking of this, Gu Lufeng put down the barbecue in his hand and looked at Bai Hu with a solemn expression. As long as he is not unfavorable to Shiyu and is willing to help Shiyu, no matter what kind of person he is our partner. Brother Bai, please don't talk behind Ouyang Haoshuan back in the future. Bai Hu was a little bit embarrassed, and he quickly said, okay, I was wrong. When Bai Hu ran away dejectedly, Gu Lufeng raised his head, met Ouyang Haoshuan's silent dad eyes, and couldn't help but smile at him. Ouyang Haoshuan's eyes moved, and he returned a smile to him slowly. Partner. Several people were eating lively, and suddenly saw a figure appeared near the teleportation array. Gu Lufeng smiled and said, "Shi-san, you just came at the right time. You made barbecue. Would you like to have some together?" "No thanks." Shi-san hurriedly ran out of the teleportation formation, looking around. "Where's Miss? Where's King of Hell? I have something to tell them." "Miss just had something. Ahem," she left. Qing Wan stood up and said, "But Miss can know everything that happens in the sealed dragon domain. She should be able to sense you coming. I believe she will be back soon." Shi-san said, "Oh," but he still did not hide his anxiety. When he turned his head and saw Ouyang Haoshuan, he immediately shouted, "By the way, this matter is related to Mr. Ouyang, so it is the same telling you." "Huh?" Ouyang Haoshuan raised his eyebrows slightly. "It is related to me?" Shi-san hurried over and said with a solemn expression, "Just now there was news from the imperial city that Prince Shangguanqi wants to incorporate the Zhenwei army under General Ouyang, and he also wants to disband the Zhenwei army completely. He wants to erase all traces of the Ouyang family in the world." "What did you say?" Gu Lufeng, Bai Hu and others exclaimed first. "Are the Shangguan family people crazy?" On the contrary, it was Ouyang Haoshuan who looked very calm from beginning to end. It was the calm that made people terrify. His eyes were gloomy like stagnant water, and he slowly sneered and said, "Erase all traces of Ouyang family on it?" Shi-san nodded and said, "The news is like this, but I always find it strange. The sixth Prince Shangguanheng came to our Xingda Hall some time ago. He told me that he and the Prince Shangguanqi were fighting for reasons in the hall. He is unwilling to disband the Zhenwei army, and the emperor is full of guilt for the Ouyang family, so the emperor is also on his side. But now, in just a few days, how did it change?" Gu Lufeng frowned and said, "I'm afraid this is a conspiracy." "Conspiracy?" Gu Lufeng glanced at Ouyang Haoshuan, and he said solemnly, "I don't know why Feng family is obsessed with finding Haoshuan, but it is clear that Feng Yunjing and Feng family want something from Haoshuan. But Haoshuan has been showing himself after being saved by Shiyu. Feng family was anxious, so they want to force Haoshuan out." Shi-san said anxiously, "Then what should we do now? Are we going to just watch Shangguanqi disband Zhenwei army?" "Disband Zhenwei army? Don't even think about it." A clear and beautiful female voice came from behind the crowd. He, dressed in a blue brocade and a men's bun, walked out slowly. The light from the sealed dragon domain fell on her white and flawless face, illuminating the delicate features like works of art. It could shake the mind of people and attract them by charm. He walked in front of Ouyang Haoshuan, curled her lips and smiled. She said with a lofty spirit, "Let's go, that 100,000 Zhenwei army, it is destined to belong to your Ouyang family. No one is qualified to take it away. I initially thought about letting you out to retaliate against the Feng family for a while, but now that they are asking for troubles, then you go out and let them have the taste of karma and blood debts. After that, all those that should belong to you, take it back gorgeously." Ouyang Haoshuan was slightly shocked, and the calm expression on his face solidified. He spread out her hands, revealing the commander's seal in his palm, then she said with a raise of her eyebrow, "Ouyang Haoshuan, can you do it?" Ouyang Haoshuan finally revealed a slight smile, and he reached out to take the commander's seal. He didn't speak, but the strong confidence and calmness implicit in his smile convinced people to believe him unconditionally. At this moment, the suffocating darkness and gloominess on his body had disappeared without a trace. Nan Gongyu, who watched this scene behind him, was inexplicably displeased. He stretched out his hand to hold Heshi's soft little hand, and he smiled casually, "Sheer, let Ouyang Haoshuan and Baihu take care of the Zhenwei army. You come back to King of Hell Mansion with me. Maybe we can watch a good show together." "Huh?" Heshi was taken aback, then she suddenly realized it. She showed a playful smile, "Okay, let's go to King of Hell Mansion." "Wait, Shiyu." Ouyang Haoshuan said suddenly. He turned around and looked at him in surprise. Ouyang Haoshuan raised the corners of his mouth slightly, and he said slowly, Shiyu, why not, you and me, go and take the Jinwei army together. What? Ouyang Haoshuan's eyes gleamed with deep and bright light. His was extremely calm. Jinwei army used to belong to the Ouyang family, but my father has entrusted the Jinwei army to you. You're the Jinwei army's master. Therefore, to control Jinwei army, you must be present and let everyone know that you are the master of Jinwei army. He was stunned for a while before shook his head and said, General Ouyang gave me the Jinwei army, just for fear that you have nowhere to go and I won't save you. Jinwei army belongs to your Ouyang family, you are now the only bloodline of General Ouyang, but I'm yours, am I not? Ouyang Haoshuan suddenly said slowly, I signed a master-servant blood pact with you. You're my master, so what I own naturally belongs to you too. Master. He opened his mouth slightly. She didn't know what to say for a while. Only when she met Ouyang Haoshuan's quiet and indifferent eyes, she understood the decisiveness in his words. She just smiled lightly, okay, I will go with you to take back the Jinwei army. Nan Gongyu on the side gritted his teeth. This Ouyang Haoshuan is getting more and more unpleasant to my eyes. Jinling Kingdom's palace in Yanjing City. It was already dusk now. Sitting in the study room, Shangguan Wenji heard the report from his dark guard, and he said with excitement, Is what you said true? King of Hell has really returned his mansion. Father, His Royal Highness King of Hell is back. As soon as Shangguan Wenji's voice sounded, he heard the voice of 6th Prince Shangguan Heng from outside the door. Seeing Shangguan Wenji nodding, Shangguan Heng hurriedly said, Father, I will go to King of Hell mansion personally. I will ask His Royal Highness King of Hell to protect the only bloodline of the Ouyang family and Jinwei army. His Highness King of Hell has always had a good relationship with General Ouyang. He will definitely help. Shangguan Wenji nodded again and again, Go fast, I'm afraid Ouyang Haoshuan will be in danger if it gets late. The news that came out of Yanjing City in the past few days was known to both Shangguan and his sons. They also knew that Prince Shangguan Qi was involved in the spread of the news. But due to the strength and dominance of the Feng family, they couldn't do anything. Now that the Feng family had deployed a tight encirclement to wait for Ouyang Haoshuan to appear, if he was really worried about the Jinwei army and came out, he would definitely fall into the hands of the Feng family. At that time, Ouyang Haoshuan would definitely die, and the 100,000 Jinwei army would also fall into the hands of the Feng family and Shangguan Qi and fell apart. Shangguan Heng got his father's approval and immediately turned and walked outside the palace. At this time, the excited Shangguan Wenji and Shangguan Heng did not know that a bloody battle had already happened outside the palace gate. Presumptuous, do you know who I'm? A small guard soldier dared to stop me. The guard stopped the Prince Shangguan Qi outside the palace gate and bowed, Please forgive me, my prince. The emperor doesn't want to see you now, and he prohibits you to step into the palace. You. The crown prince trembled all over, and he was about to slap the guard. However, before he slapped, a plume of black smoke suddenly appeared behind the crown prince. The black smoke entered the guard's mouth and nose silently, and the guard immediately released the weapon in his hand, revealing an expression of pain. The crown prince was taken aback, then he saw a man in a black cloak walking out behind him. The cloaked man looked at the guard's painful expression and smiled with satisfaction, then stretched out his hand to clasp the guard's head. There was the sound of bursting. The fingers of the cloaked man penetrated deep into the guard's skull, making 5 holes in his head. The guard's body twitched violently, then he rolled his eyes and lost his vitality. The black mist that entered the guard's body curled out and flew back into the cloaked man's body. The guard on the other side of the palace gate saw this scene, and his face was full of shock. He wanted to scream. But the man in black who was following the cloaked man immediately came out silently and snapped his neck. The same black mist emerged from the cloaked man, got into the guard's body, circled around and flew back. Shen Guanqi looked at the guard who was dead on the ground with horror. The guard's eyes turned white, and his face was distorted. His brain juice was even gurgling out. That was too horrifying. Shen Guanqi's complexion turned pale. He looked at the cloaked man tremblingly, and he said, "Black Law Protector, now, we are still at the gate of the palace. It's not good to just kill people and cause any sensations, right? What if my father, Who cares about Shangguan Wenji? How is he worthy of letting me sneak in? Isn't just killing a few guards. What is there to be dissatisfied? No. Not at all." Shen Guanqi waved his hand in fright. Even his feet were trembling. This man in gray with a cloak was a martial artist of the nascent soul stage, and his position in the Feng family was high. Moreover, he had always acted ruthlessly and liked to extract the soul of people. How dare he offend this person? That was right, the man in the cloak was the Black Law Protector, He Sha, that He ran into at the Murong mansion that day. The men in black who followed He Sha were at least of the Gold Core stage or the Peak of Meridian stage. They were all elites of the Feng family, and they were all loyal to the Feng family. He Sha was badly injured by a crazy old man who ran out inexplicably when he was at the Murong mansion. Although it seemed that he was simply knocked into the air, his vitality was severely injured. After several months of cultivating, his strength still couldn't recover to the peak. He Sha's cultivation was based on martial artists' souls, so during this period of time, he was looking for soul everywhere. It was just that draining the soul of martial artists was too ostentatious and easy to be discovered, so his recovery had always been slow. However, his visit to Jinling Kingdom Palace today had some good results. Although the guards of Jinling Kingdom Palace were mostly low in cultivation and had impure souls, they were still martial artists after all. If I can absorb all the souls of the people in this palace, I don't have to worry about not able to recover. Ha ha ha. When He Sha turned his head, seeing Shen Guanqi's terrified look, his heart was full of contempt. But he said, "Don't worry, as long as you are obedient, our Feng family will not treat you badly. When Shangguan Wenji abdicates, this Jinling kingdom is naturally yours." Shen Guanqi was overjoyed when he heard that. He even forgot most of his fear. At this time, he was really fortunate that after being rejected by Shangguan Wenji, he was connected to the Feng family. Only with such a strong backer like the Feng family, he could sit on the throne without worry. The father is really an old fool. He actually goes against the Feng family for the Ouyang family. Now that he has to surrender the throne, it is his own responsibility. Thinking of this, Shen Guanqi suddenly felt confident in his heart. He was no longer afraid. With He Sha following him, he walked straight into the palace. Along the way, there were some guards stopping them under the orders of Shangguan Wenji. However, as soon as they appeared, they were tragically killed by Black Law Protector and his men on the spot. Their souls were being sucked away to recover He Sha's strength. Even later, He Sha had tasted the benefits. Even if these guards didn't stop him, he happily killed them one by one, then he drained their souls. For a time, there was a bloody storm in the palace gate that was originally magnificent, and there were the corpses of victims everywhere. But when they entered the palace where Shangguan Wenji was located, these people still restrained their actions. After all, Shangguan Wenji was also a martial artist of the Gold Core stage. If he was forced too much, it would take a lot of trouble. As soon as 6th Prince Shangguan Heng came out of the royal study room, he saw Shangguan Qi and the men in black behind him. He was shocked. He had a very bad feeling in his heart. Shangguan Qi was very excited when he saw 6th Prince. There was a vicious look in his eyes. He laughed and said, "6th brother just appears at the right time. I am going to discuss with father about the Zhenwei army. 6th brother and I had different opinions last time. Why not we go and discuss with father again?" 6th Prince lowered his head and quickly said respectfully, "I was reckless last time. You're the crown prince, so you should have the say in the affairs of the kingdom. Since elder brother has something to speak to father, I will not join. I still have something to do, so I'll leave now. After finishing speaking, he hurried out without waiting for Shen Guanqi to reply. His step seemed a little flustered. Shen Guanqi turned around and looked at his back coldly. The expression on his face was full of contempt and disdain. This sixth brother is a little clever, knowing that the people stand next to me are powerful, so he chose to run quickly. Unfortunately, he realized it too late. Shen Guanqi glanced at the Black Law Protector without having to say anything. A gold core stage and 2 meridian stage martial artists behind him walked out and chased Shen Guanqi. Shen Guanwenji in the Imperial Study Room was happy that Nan Gongyu had finally returned. I can finally ask for help. However, before he waited for his younger son to invite King of Hell over, Shen Guanqi brought a group of people in black into his palace. As soon as Shen Guanqi saw Shen Guanwenji, he bowed casually and smiled. Father, this is the Black Law Protector of Feng family. He is here to help us catch the traitor Ouyang Haoshuan. When Shen Guanwenji heard the words, the green veins on his forehead burst out. He glared at Shen Guanqi furiously. Shen Guanqi, what do you mean? You said he came to help us, by what mean? Shen Guanqi smiled and said, Father, Ouyang Haoshuan's parents had been executed. Now the only thing this traitor cares about is their Ouyang family's Jinwei army. If we take down the Jinwei army, I don't believe Ouyang Haoshuan will not come out. Shen Guanwenji was so angry that he couldn't speak. He always knew that this elder's son was interested in benefits, but he did not expect that he would be so outrageous. What do you mean by bringing people in now? Are you trying to force me to abdicate the throne? Shen Guanqi shook his head and said helplessly, how can father say that I'm forcing you to abdicate the throne? I just want to help father make the right decision. I know father is worried that the Jinwei army won't listen to you without the commander's seal. But now with the help of the Black Law Protector, if anyone were disobedient, we can punish them until they listen. After all, Black Law Protector is a master of the nascent soul stage. Father, don't you think so? Shen Guanwenji was gasped, and his face looked very pale. You bastard. Now that you are planning everything, why do you still come to me? Shen Guanqi spread his hand and said, I want to take in the Jinwei army, so I of course need the imperial decree from father to order me to take full responsibility for the redeployment of the Jinwei army. Shen Guanwenji gritted his teeth and said, what if I don't write? Father, why are you making it hard for yourself? Shen Guanqi shook his head. Ouyang family is too late to be saved. The Jinwei army is one of our Jinling kingdom's most powerful army, we can't always let it have no leader, right? Shen Guanwenji's eyes were red, staring fiercely at this arrogant son in front of him, and he suddenly burst into laughter. Okay, really my good son. I, Shen Guanwenji, am really blind. I actually give birth to such an animal like you to be the crown prince. Today, I will kill you, lest you, the animal, bring disaster to my Jinling kingdom. As soon as Shen Guanwenji spoke, he stood up and rushed toward Shen Guanqi. The pressure of Gold Core stage suddenly burst out, overwhelming Shen Guanqi. Shen Guanqi was so frightened that he fell to the ground, and he shouted in panic, Black Law Protector, help! Seeing that Shen Guanwenji was about to smash the head of Shen Guanqi with a palm, He Sha on the side suddenly made a move. He didn't see how he moved, but his figure shook. A fist had attacked on Shen Guanwenji's chest, causing him to spit out a mouthful of blood. The spiritual power of his body was also shaken away. He Sha took a step forward, kicked Shen Guanwenji, and sneered, are you writing or not writing? Kill me if you dare. Shen Guanwenji's mouth kept spilling blood, but his eyes were full of resentment. He didn't intend to surrender at all. Your Feng family has done so many unrighteous acts, you will get your retribution one day. Retribution? Ha ha ha, He Sha raised his head and laughed, you don't write? Okay, I will let you watch your favorite concubines and children die miserably in front of you. You can open your eyes to see if I will get retribution. After that, He Shah waved his hand to bring all the princes, princesses and concubines in the harem. Don't touch my children. Shangguan Wenji let out a stern cry and rushed towards He Shah, but he was not He Shah's opponent. He Shah caught one of his youngest sons who were only 5 or 6 years old in front of him, and he sneered, "Are you writing or not?" Shangguan Wenji yelled hysterically, "You Feng family will get retribution." As soon as he spoke, He Shah grasped the child's head and shoulders with both hands and tore them forcefully. Hearing a scream, the child's head was torn off abruptly. Blood splashed around. "Xiener! Animal, I fight to the death with you." A beautiful concubine rushed out and charged at He Shah frantically, but He Shah grabbed her neck and crushed her spine. You're tuning in to the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.